Hello, my fellow humans. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. We're all here sharing this human experience together. I do things differently here on this channel, so there might be triggering statements that arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journeys. And please, if the message does resonate with you, it'd mean the world to me if you're to like, comment, and subscribe below. With that being said, please know that your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing it with you today. So we are going to be looking into why do people stare at you. I didn't actually have a reading planned for today. It is the holiday weekend. I'm recording this during the 4th of July, and so I hope everybody had a beautiful holiday, as it will get posted afterwards for those of you that celebrate the 4th of July. But yeah, I didn't have one, and then I was taking a nap, and when I woke up, this was the question that came to me. And so I feel like there's a message that needs to be said in regards to this reading. And that does happen a lot with these readings. Like, Source will use certain questions for people to come on so that they get messages that they need. So I do feel like I need to mention that, because it was literally after I was just resting and this came to me, and I was like, all right, cool, I'll go do a reading. So let's hop to our prayer and we will get this reading underway. And I really felt called to using the Spiral Oracle today. And this is by Lily Acuna, this deck. This is a beautiful deck. Some of the cards are rather risque though, so I may have to check them off camera in order to ensure that they are camera friendly. Alright, my beloved Source, this prayer is for any and all who come on to this reading, whether it's for the entire time or for just a moment's time. Sometimes it's hard for us to trust in the process that's ahead of us, that, you know, we want things to become a certain way, we want things to look a certain way, we want things to unravel a certain way. We feel like we know exactly what we need moving forward, and oftentimes we don't have a clue. We just have an idea that's based on an emotional, egoic need, want, or desire. And we're rarely looking at the subconscious that's following that or that's pushing that. Whether that's a toxic pattern, an old thought pattern, an old belief, or an old wound. And sometimes it can be hard. You know, we want validation. Sometimes we feel like we need validation. And we'll do everything to seek that validation. But it doesn't matter what other people say about us, or how other people view us, or how other people see us. Even though we put so much stock in it, even though we put so much weight to it. So today I ask that you help us surrender this need for approval from others, and help us step into this alignment where we know we can approve and validate ourselves. That truthfully, the only thing that matters is how we see, love, respect, honor, and care for ourselves in this world. Because if we don't show up for us, no one else will. We can hope that someone else will, because we've shown up for so many other people along our journey. But the truth is that we have to be our own saviors. We have to be our own heroes. And through this process, we're learning exactly how to be and become that. So today I ask that you give us that strength, that clarity, that understanding, and that freedom to let go of what others are thinking, how others are viewing us, and even more so, what others say to us that might deter us from our own journey. We're our only block, but we're also our only hope. And those things together give us the strength, the courage, and the power to move forward. May you wrap us within your loving arms, care for us, and nourish us at this time. As these words are spoken upon this reading and onto this tribe today, so shall they be. Amen. Aho. Ase. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my beloved source. Thank you. So let me get that set up over here. We had some ash fall on the book. Put it in my little ashtray that I got over here. Okay, so let's put that over here and we'll go ahead and get to shuffling. Alright, why do strangers stare at you? Or people, why do people stare at you? What spiral oracle card will help us better understand this message today, source? For my fellow humans, why do people stare at you? Why do people stare at you? Okay, thank you. Why do people stare at you? Pile 1. Why do people stare at you? What oracle card will help us better understand this message today, source? Thank you. Alright, pile number 2. Why do people stare at you? What oracle card will help us better understand this message today, source? For pile number 2. Wow, thank you. Pile number 3. Why do people stare at you? What? Thank you. That was so fast. Pile 3 is like, I'm ready. I want to know. I want to know what my message is. All right. So collective message on the bottom. Let me check this. Okay. Yeah. We have pure medicine. I love this energy. What a beautiful card. Just like hold this up here for you to look at for a second. Just a lot going on in this card. These cards are absolutely incredible. Right? The artwork on them with this life card here too. The artwork on them is just absolutely amazing. And she's an artist. She painted all of these and then she created an oracle deck after she had painted this series of paintings, and this is what the oracle deck became. So these are truly done by hand and just absolutely phenomenal. But why do people stare at you? Pure medicine here. It's because there's this shift. Like when you walk into a room, there's a shift in the dynamic. And it's not a bad thing. It's healing. There's a lot of healing light that comes with you. There's a lot of healing love that surrounds you. And there's this comfort when you walk into a room or when you walk into a store or when you walk around outside. There's this comfort. Like people feel safe in approaching you. I also feel like people feel safe in telling you their stories. Like they just may unload all of a sudden a life story on you and you're like, wow, I didn't even ask. And yet here I know now that, you know, you've experienced this in your life. But it's almost as if, I just heard that, like it's a confessional. Like people feel like they can confess things to you that they would never tell anybody else in their life. And it's not because you're a stranger, it's because of the energy that you exude. It's just this very bright, all-encompassing, non-judgmental energy. Like they don't feel like you'll ever sit there and be like, oh, how could you make these decisions as a person? Like you were so wrong in the way that you approach your life. Like I can't believe that you did that. They don't feel that way, and that's why they stare at you. And I feel like a lot of people want to share things with you, but it's almost as if, like, I'm seeing an hourglass right now. So it's like they don't have enough time. Like there's a time limit for everything, or other people might be taking up your time, or they don't want to take up your time because, you know, they don't want to bother you or anything like that. But there's this feeling that shifts within them where they're feeling that connection. And there's something very mythical about you as well, something spiritual, but also something mythical. Like you are very beautiful, very handsome, or very good looking, and you might not feel that way. There's someone here who feels like they're super average or they're not good looking at all, but it's not, like that's the thing. I feel like wherever you grew up, you don't fit the beauty standards for where you grew up at. However, the people around you, they see you as exotic or different or unique. So it's like you might have a very unique skin tone, or you might have very unique eye shape, or you have very unique nose, or you have very unique lips. Like, it's not like anything that anybody's ever seen before. I'm also seeing like ears. Maybe you have some like really cute ears, or like you wear some really unique earrings, or like your ears, there's something about your ears that stands out, or maybe you have little ears that poke out a little bit and it's just cute. Like, it looks cute and people see that as different. And it's, again, they're not judging you. I mean, there might be people judging you, of course. Everywhere we go, there's people judging us because it's what people do. But I feel like the thing is like, why they're staring at you is because there's a comparison where they wish that they looked like you, but there's also something very unique in the way that your energy collides with theirs. And there's this immediate desire to share with you stories, hardships. Like, they feel like you, this sounds odd, but this is what it's coming in as, is like they feel like you could help them shoulder it. And not that that's your responsibility, but you make them feel less alone. And people just feel like you understand them. I also feel like many of you might have shamanistic past lives. Like, if you believe in that, if you believe you've lived multiple lives, you've been a shaman in a past life, but multiple times for different tribes around the world. I feel like you're very well known, or you were very well known in some of your lives, or like people traveled to you from some of your lives. And I know this is this is really specific. This is only going to resonate with a few people here. But yeah, it's like you're really well known for your healing and your medicine. And even now, like, you could be becoming really well known for the type of healing that you have. And you might not, but there's like, maybe you do like essential oils and you make blends and you give people blends, and you're really well known for your healing attributes, or you're some sort of physical therapist and people come to you because they know that with you the work will be done the right way. They won't have to keep continuing physical therapy, because eventually you want to leave that, you know, you want to be able to go out on your own. And I feel like people do recognize your value when it comes to your healing attributes. This could be an energetic healing, it could be Reiki, it could be yoga, it could be meditation, it could be hypnosis. There's a lot of very spiritual things that are coming in here, but it's like people feel that even if they know nothing about you, they feel that energy because it's something that you're always exuding. You know, like if you are a spiritual teacher, you're exuding that spirituality everywhere you go. And so it's a very accepting energy that people just really want to be a part of, that people really want to experience. And right away, people are staring at you because when you come into the room, they're feeling that shift in the energetic field. There's also some sort of a rebirth here. And along with that, there's also some sort of remembrance as to who they are. It's almost like holding a piece of string, and the piece of string is getting pulled away from you and they keep grasping for it. They're not sure what to call it, but they keep grasping for it anyways because they know they need to hold on to it. Because if they lose it, they're going to lose some sort of essence, or they're going to lose some sort of part of themselves, right? And you're very grounding energy. You're very grounded and centered in who you are. And that's a very unique trait in the world because so many people are very chaotic and they're very uncentered, and they don't know who they are, and they're struggling to understand, or they're struggling to fit in, or they're struggling to be seen. And you don't give off that energy at all. You give off the energy of you just know exactly who you are, and that's it. You present that. So there's a very grounded energy here, a very connective energy as well. So let's see what Pure Medicine says from the book. Pure Medicine. It says, I am a great mystery. My foundations are more profound than I ever imagined. So that makes total sense of the energy that's coming through. When I traveled through the whole magnitude of my being, I first discovered that my physical body is very dense. I experienced the world through my senses. as if I am a vehicle made up for space-time trip. In this reality, I have an encounter with my mind, full of language, ideas, thoughts, noises, and intuitions. In addition to this human avatar, it is interesting to notice that I sometimes inhabit another body, one of a higher vibration engraved with the very origins of life. And look, we got the life card right behind that. Wow, what a synchronicity. A subtle body that has recorded every vital action. That's why the past life energy was coming in too, because there's something about your past life that you've carried over into this life. It says, I am also a body in the dream world, from where my feelings, desires, passions, and aspirations emanate. In the world of dreams, I accept and re-experience emotions driven by egos, defects, and human commotions. I see symbols where the realities of my spirit become mythical. Oh my gosh, I was saying there's something mythical about you. And transcendental truths are revealed to me. This dimension is eternity, where past, present, and future blend into the eternal now. That's why we were also getting past life energy. If I keep adding ingredients to this being, to what I am, I find out that stories from the beginning of time inhabit me, stored in my cellular biology, along with the world of emotions that accompanies me every day. Do I really believe I am all these layers of information I carry? Therefore, to find essence, I go to the presence of life, and I rest in the temple of nature. Emptiness. I empty myself. I stir my painful memories with awareness and compassion, exploring my own world. I see myself just as I am. I sing to myself. I redeem myself here and now. It is necessary to empty oneself in order to be filled again. So that's the thing. It's like, you know who you are, right? I sing to myself. I redeem myself. I see myself just as I am. So you know who you are, and that brings this energy with it of clarity, that remembrance that people, they want to embody, they want to embrace, but they just don't know how. That's why I was getting that string, like you're reaching out for a string, but it's slipping through your fingers, and they're still reaching for it. And that's why people stare at you. That's just it. They feel that essence. They feel that energy. It's a very strong energy. And I love the synchronicity that we got the life card behind the pure medicine card here. What a powerful message to start with. So let me move this aside and get this set up for you. I'm trying to bring out some of my other decks. Sometimes I get, and I think that's just how you are, you know, as a tarot reader. There's sometimes you just have your favorites for a little while and then you move on to some other decks, and I think that's just how it is. So I noticed that I've been neglecting some decks and I've been trying to bring them into the fold. Alright, so for pile 1, we do have this dice with the 10th house for you to choose from. We have this red jasper for you to choose from. Pile 2, we have this dice with Sagittarius. This is just something to choose from, right? Like, this is not just for Sagittarians, but if you're a Sagittarius and you choose it, that is fine as well. And if you're not, that is also fine. We have this arrowhead for you to choose from. Pile 3, we have this dice with Jupiter on it for you to choose from. Or we have this smoky quartz. So we have pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. Whichever pile you felt called to, that should be the one for you. And I will see you over there. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the 10th house on it, or perhaps you felt called to this piece of red jasper, or maybe you were called to this card during the shuffle. This is going to be a reading on why do people stare at you. We're all here sharing this human experience together. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. I do things differently here on this channel, so there might be triggering statements that do arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journeys. And if the message happens to resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Please know that your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing them with you today. So with that, let's go ahead and hop to it. I just quickly want to point out that we are looking into other people's view of you. So whatever it is that comes out, it is in no way, shape, or form the truth of who you are. So we're going to look into that, just keeping that in mind as we dig into these readings today, okay? Why do people stare at you, pile 1? Source, what would you like to share for pile number 1 today? Why do people stare at you? Also, I would like to mention that if you didn't catch the intro, I got this as a random message. I was taking a nap and I got woken up with this as a reading topic, and that tells me that there's a message that needs to come out for someone today. So if we do go off of the question, or quote unquote the topic, if you will, just know that that's because it's by design. Source does do that sometimes, and I've mentioned that plenty of times in my readings. I just feel like I need to mention it again here, okay? Now, so we've got the 11th house, Leo energy, and Neptune. Wow. You give off somebody famous, even if you're not. Like, you just, people stare at you because they're like, oh my gosh, I think I know them from somewhere, or they are on TV, or they're a famous singer. Like, maybe you've had people tell you you look like an actress or an actor, or that you look like somebody that's a famous artist, or someone that's a famous singer. Like, that might not be news to you. And if not, then that's what it is. It's like, people see you and they feel like they are seeing someone who's really well known, and they stare at you because they're trying to put their finger on it. They're not quite sure, or they are sure and they're wondering if you really are that person. And some of you might be. I mean, cool, if you're here, that's awesome. But for many of you, it's just like, oh no, I've been told I look like so-and-so, or I've been told that, you know, I seem like I am somebody who's famous. But you're very confident and courageous, and you express yourself freely and you put yourself out there. But there's also an air of mystery about you, a very unknown energy that people are trying to figure out. They're trying to pinpoint. And you might resonate with the collective message that I did at the very beginning of the reading. And if you feel called to listen to that, you'll find the timestamp in the description box below. Excuse me, but people are wondering, like, they almost like they feel there's a sense of guilt that's coming through here. Like, if you remind them of somebody from their past, like, there's a guilt energy that's coming in because they treated that person, or it could have even been you. They treated you not very nice or not very kindly. Or there's also this energy where it's like you bring up certain emotions within them, and that first thing is guilt. Like, oh my gosh, like, I've always judged people who look like pile 1, or I've always hated on people who appear like pile 1, and everything about you is so open and inviting, and it makes people face this part of themselves that they were being very cruel. Even internally, they were being very cruel, or sending out like really negative energy to people who look and appear like you. And that's why they're staring at you, because you're exact opposite. So an example would be like, maybe you have a very unique body style. You don't have to, but this is the example they're showing me. Like, you have a very unique body style. Like, maybe you're very curvy, or you're very built, or you're very strong, muscular, or maybe you're very thin, or maybe you're fluffy, you know, whatever it is, but you have a very unique body style, and you don't appear like other people who look like you or have a similar body type to you. But a lot of people stare at you because maybe they have preconceived notions. Like, if you're fluffy, they're thinking like everybody that's fluffy just stays at home and they eat food and they never move and they're not active. And you may look like you just came from the gym, or people are seeing you at the gym and they're seeing you work hard, but they're seeing you still fluffy. Or like, maybe you're really, really skinny or really, really fit, and people are like, oh, you know, that body came easy. And yet they think immediately that you're going to be arrogant, or that you're going to be very, like, ugly personality. And then they meet you, or they get close to you, or they're watching you interact with people, and that's not who you are at all. You're very open, you're very friendly, you're very connected to people, you're drawing bridges to people who they're like confused, because they're thinking, oh, pile one would never create a bridge to a person like me, or like that person, or like this. And so there is a bit of a snap judgment here when they see you, when they physically see you, and that's why they're staring at you, because I feel like most of the time you're breaking apart and demolishing and totally shattering their preconceived judgments on someone who looks like you, right? You could be incredibly good looking, like model status, and you're still really humble. You could be someone that's really fluffy and incredibly confident. You could be someone who's very fit, and you're still someone who's very inviting and open, and you're not trying to make people feel bad. Like, you're trying to invite people into this safe space. And so that's why the guilt is coming through here, because they're immediately feeling guilty. Like, there's something about your presence and the way that you enter a room and the way that you interact with people that immediately makes them feel bad about past judgments, either on you or on people that they feel like you fit into a group of, right? And it's, you know, it's interesting. It's just interesting. It's not that you're like those people or that they're like you. It's just people automatically, like, if you wear a certain designer brand, say you wear Prada, right? Like, people already have a snap judgment on everybody that wears Prada. Or if you wear Michael Jordans, right? Like, everybody has a snap judgment on somebody who's going to wear Michael Jordans. Like, this is the type of energy that's coming through. It's like something that you're presenting outwardly, they made a snap judgment on. And then when your energy arrives, they immediately are like, oh, I had that completely wrong. And so there's a healing element that comes with you. And that's why they're staring at you, because they're going through, you ever see those videos where it's like someone experienced all stages of grief in just a matter of a minute? That's kind of what's going on internally for a lot of people when they see you. And they might get lost in staring at you. It's not that they're trying to be rude, and maybe some of them are, they just don't care. But I feel like it's just more or less, there's a lot of emotional turmoil that's going on that they're having to face. Why do people stare at you? Yeah, because they've manipulated people like you, or they've manipulated you before. This could be people you know. Why do people stare at you? And they've had luck with getting you to do what they want, or getting those people to do what they want. But there's this wall now that's been created between you and them, and they cannot do that any longer. Why do people stare at you? Yeah, you might remind them of an ex-lover. You might remind them of somebody that they cheated on with. Ooh, especially, I wasn't going to do 5 cards, but you got 5 cards. So let me move these over so I can put the bottom of the deck there. So with the Lover and the 6 of Cups here, Even though the Lover's in reverse, the Six of Cups in the upright, that shows that this is somebody that they really loved. Why do I hear that song? You're just somebody that I used to know. You didn't have to shut me out. Yeah, so that song is coming. It's like, there's this energy where it's like you look like somebody they used to know, or you were somebody that they used to know, and that there's like this severing of the energies. Someone that they were able to manipulate, someone that they were able to control, and they see you and they see how strong you are, whether that's how strong you become or just how strong you are. And that makes them feel guilty about treating either you or someone in the past like this. Like, we've got 666 coming out right in the middle of your reading. And I know a lot of people equate that with a bad number, but it's not. You know, 6, we think about, look, you know, I always mention this. It's when we think about time, right? Time, we have 24 hours. That's 6 in a day. We have 24 hours. We have six, and then you have 60 minutes in an hour. That's 6, and then you have 60 seconds in a minute. And so time is 666, but it's literally an illusion. And there's an illusion that's at play here where they're replaying some sort of past, and there's an illusion that you give. It's almost like shape-shifting, but it's as if you're a chameleon when you're around people. So even if you don't actually even look like the people that are on their mind, there's something about your energy that makes them immediately go to that place where they hurt somebody, they manipulated someone, they treated someone incredibly unfairly, they put responsibilities on someone that they shouldn't have, they had expectations of someone. You know, there's a lot with Wands energy. It can be construed as sexual energy, but it can also be spiritual energy. And so there's both here in this reading, because we have the Lover and we have the Six of Cups here. So there's both, right? Somebody that they used to, you know, do the dirty with, and then also somebody that is being spiritually bombarded by some healing energy. And so it's like, as soon as you walk into a room, or as soon as you show up, all of those guilty feelings start to surface, and they have to face them, and it's uncomfortable. And so you might notice that people get really antsy when you're around, or they might, like, there's some people who are really drawn to you and they really want to talk to you because they're ready to heal. They're ready to face those parts of themselves that have otherwise been buried. But you might also recognize that some people are just really, like, as soon as you enter a room or as soon as you show up, like, they have to leave. And those are people who are not ready to face those internal trials yet, right? So you're almost like what is that? The Sphinx, right? It's almost like you give off Sphinx energy. It's like a trial, and a trial to surpass a part of their old way of being. And a lot of people are just not ready for that. So you might see 666 a lot. You might see 6. The number 6 might have special meaning to you. You could have been born on June 6th. Or you could be 66 years old. Or, you know, there's a lot of different energies here that are coming through. But that's something that could be really important to you. You could have been born in the year 66. Or that maybe you have a life path number of 6. And, you know, when I think about 6 is all about balance, harmony, resolution, solutions, and also seeing ourselves from the eyes of unconditional love. And there's something here, pile 1, where if you're from this place of unconditional love and you're learning how to express unconditional love, right, which is a practice, it's a lifelong journey. None of us are going to perfect that at all, right? We're still going to be human by the time we leave this world, and that's okay. But there's many of us that can definitely grow in that space of unconditional love. And as you grow in that space of unconditional love, people who are used to living in their wounds, or have grown accustomed to living in their wounds and grown accustomed to living in codependent relationships and basically resigned to that type of energy, they're very uncomfortable around you. But then there are people who are becoming more aware, or people who are just generally aware. You know, like, we're seeing the new generations come in, being quite aware of things that maybe like millennials, especially, like I'm a millennial, and so like millennials, like we weren't aware of as kids, and you're seeing kids now come in and they're aware of things that I'm like, wow, I wish I knew stuff like that when I was your age, but I was totally oblivious, and I was in this ping pong ball machine of what life was then. And so we're seeing the awareness rise because people are making choices now that are serving the higher good. And I feel like that's you. You're definitely seeing that. So you could be someone who's younger. You could also be someone who's older, who's just really, really worked on yourself and really worked on healing yourself. And that healing energy is, it feels like an attack for some people, and so they stare at you, but the minute that they realize that that uncomfortability is there, like they're out. They're like, oh, I gotta go. I can't stay around you. It's just too much for me to handle. Because you're basically mirroring back their responsibility to take accountability for their life. Yeah, okay. Especially, and I'm gonna say this, especially people who are narcissistic that you might not even know, right? Like you could be at the store. We never know who is narcissistic around us unless we're interacting with them. And even then, we might not know if we're only getting a snippet of this person. I mean, our intuition is gonna help us. Our discernment's definitely gonna help us. But you could definitely interact with narcissists on a daily basis, and your energy is making them super uncomfortable with the Emperor in the reverse here. So this could be covert, this could be grandiose narcissists, this could be people who have high narcissistic tendencies, this could be just people who, again, are very comfortable living in their toxic energy, who are comfortable living in their toxic patterns and their old limiting beliefs. But that energy, especially for starting with the Three of Wands and ending with the Emperor, this is people who are very manipulative. They're actually the ones who stare at you the most because there's just a lot emotionally that's coming up. There's a lot that's going on under the surface. They want to love you, but they want to love you to suppress you. And because there's already that immediate spiritual boundary there, they know that that's not going to happen. And there could have been people who have tried on your journey to have done that. There might have been people who've succeeded, but you've learned so much from them, and you've learned how to set very clear boundaries with people like this. And it's just so uncomfortable for them. These are especially true. This is especially true for people who may have been very unfaithful to a partner who is incredibly loyal to them. And that might be a story that resonates with you as well, Pile 1. You might have had a partner that was unfaithful to you, and you were incredibly loyal, 100% into the situation and 100% there, and had to choose yourself in the end and walk away from something that you thought at one point was a forever situation. And so there's something about you healing that part of yourself that really mirrors out to people who are unfaithful, but also it mirrors out to people who are pessimistic is coming in, but also promiscuous. Interesting that pessimistic came in, because I was thinking promiscuous, but pessimistic came out. And so, you know, again, that does fall in line with just people who are very low vibration, who don't want to see the positive in things, or who are stuck in just repeat cycles, catastrophizing the world around them. You give off such a positive, inviting energy. And even if you're not outgoing, you could be an introvert and still your aura crashes into other auras. You know, everywhere we go, our auras are crashing into everybody. Likewise, people are crashing into ours. And so the stronger we become spiritually, the more that we're unbothered or unaffected by other auras that are bouncing into ours. But people who don't know how to protect themselves spiritually, or don't know how to connect with that part of them spiritually, they feel that. They feel the discomfort. They feel that really powerful energy. You are very intimidating. You are very overwhelming. And so they're staring at you, but then they're also feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to get out of here. I have to run, because you're making them face a part of themselves that they're just not ready to face. Can you give us a little bit more about this source for Pile 1? What's some advice maybe for Pile 1 dealing with situations that are like this? Can you give us some advice for Pile number 1? So I feel like advice is necessary here, because it's just a reminder that, you know, not to take it too personally when people are really uncomfortable around you. But that's hard. Look, the Hangman flew out in the reverse, and I don't take this deck in reverse. I just never have. But for the Hangman to actually flip out of the deck and land in the reverse, it's like, sometimes I feel like it's hard not to take this personal. Like people who are just really quickly trying to get away from you, or people who are really trying to end conversations with you, or people who are just like basically running, like they ignore you, or they won't look at you, or they won't face you, or they won't talk to you. Like sometimes this gets old, right? And so there's of course that energy, like, what am I doing wrong? And Source is telling you here, like, don't let this determine your worth or your value. You have grown so much that your vibration is literally attracting people who are meant for you and repelling people who just don't belong at all. And so look at it that way, right? Like, spin the way you look at it. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just that you've grown so much that your energy naturally repels people who just cannot stand in the face of your love. They just can't. So that's something that's coming through right away. Let's see what we've got. Yeah, the Fool. This is like a new beginning for you. Yeah, the Ace of Cups. Okay, so I feel like for you, Pile 1, you've dealt with some really difficult relationships in the past. And they don't have to be romantic. But with the Ace of Cups here, it's like most of your relationships had somebody who was manipulating you, or using you, or abusing you in some way, especially emotionally. Like the abuse that's coming through is very emotional, right? And there's this energy that's coming up where it's like, this is a new beginning for you in love. Like you are no longer settling for less than you deserve. And that's why Source wants you to hear this message. And especially if you want to have that really beautiful, healthy type of romantic love, like if that's something you're really looking for, it's something that you're meant to have in this lifetime. But also it's reminding yourself to stay empowered in those moments when people are just trying to, like, almost stumbling over themselves to get away from you as quick as they can. It's because your energy is so powerful and they're just not ready to deal with those healing aspects of themselves. And they really, like, if they even had an opportunity to get to you, it would be about control. And so look at it as you're just naturally repelling narcissists and people who are toxic, which is really an amazing feat to have. You've grown so much that you just naturally repel people who are not on the vibrational level to receive you. Bottom of the deck, yeah, the Tower, or the House of God. So this is you coming in, your energy naturally it naturally incites an immediate dismissal or an immediate tumbling of an old paradigm. And so they're trying to hold on to an old paradigm and they can't. Your energy forces them to see things from a different place. And there's this energy here as well where it's like your emotional ego, which was maybe chasing after codependent situations because it was comfortable in those codependent situations, or maybe potentially this is like the emotional ego saying like, oh, this is what's going to protect us. That part of you has fallen apart and has been pieced back together by your soul. And that's why this is so powerful for you, because while people are staring at you, they're also realizing like you're not somebody to be trifled with. You're not somebody that's easily manipulated. You're not somebody that they can take advantage of. You're not somebody that, you know, they can use and abuse and then throw to the ground. Like, if you were to actually ever get near to them, they would be forced into a corner to face their own issues, and they don't like that. And so that's why they stay away from you, or that's why they're trying to get away from you. It just feels like I keep seeing like people stumbling over themselves. Like you might have seen people literally trip and fall. Like they see you, they're staring at you, and then suddenly they about face and they trip and they fall, or they're just very ungraceful when they leave. Like there's like, they might run into somebody, they might run into something, they might, you know, stub their toe, or they might hit their arm, like their elbow on something. And that's a sure sign that those are people who are vibrationally not a match for you at all. And, you know, like for from a personal standpoint, it's always good to just say, you know what, thank you, Source. Thank you for protecting me from people like that. You know, that way then you always keep attracting those more higher vibrational people. But I feel like the higher vibrational people, they appreciate you and they really like being in your energy because it's very inviting, it's very welcoming, and the main thing is it's incredibly calm. And that calm, peaceful energy is something that people seek, especially on the healing journey, and you exude that naturally. Why do people stare at you? Pile 1. Yeah. Gemini, curiosity, intellect, networking. Yeah, so people are naturally curious about you. They want to connect with you. And then there's opposition here, which is exactly what I was feeling this whole reading. Imbalance, a point of tension, and a power struggle. So you have the people who want to naturally connect with you with the Gemini energy. And then we also have the imbalanced energies that it's like a power struggle. They want to have control over you, but there's like they might do little things where they've gained control over people in the past, or if this is somebody or people that you know, they may have done certain things that have gained control over you before, but none of that is working. None of their tricks are working. Yeah, originality, philanthropy, and progressive imaginings with Aquarius here, and you really stand out. Like, you're very unique. We got that with the dice energy too. You're just, there's something very unique about you. So something about the way you look, the way you dress, the way you walk, the way you are, there's something very outwardly unique, and people are really drawn to that as well. Okay, they want one more. Why do people stare at you, pile 1? Whoa, okay. Yeah, oh my gosh. Okay, so we've got Mars in Taurus with defense. Yeah, there's a lot of people here who feel like they have to defend themselves from you because you are so in love with yourself. That sounds so weird, but that's what's coming in. Like, you just really love and value and yourself and see your worth, and you're really respecting yourself. And that immediately puts people on the defense. Like, oh my gosh, you know, like, I can't do anything to bring this person down. I can't do anything to get into their walls. They've definitely put up a strong defense against me, and so they feel like they have to go on the defense themselves. And again, it's just this opposition energy that's coming in. There's people here who, I feel like you've attracted a ton of narcissists in your life. And you know, I always talk to people about this too. Like, when we heal, that's not a guarantee that we'll never deal with those types of energies again. What it does offer us, though, is the tools to face those situations when they're going to inevitably arrive. And that is such a powerful place to be at, because it gives us the strength to say no, it gives us the strength to set boundaries for ourselves, and it gives us the strength to walk away without feeling an obligation to a certain person, place, or thing, right? So then we have Mercury in Virgo, discrimination. And I was getting that at the very beginning. I have never seen this card come out on a reading. But I got that in the beginning with your reading, where it's like people were judging you based on how you look. There's a lot of discrimination, and that's why they stare at you. But there's something also that's transformative about you that immediately forces them to change what they were thinking before. So it's like, however you look, the way your hair is, the way that your skin tone is, the way that your face looks, the way that your eyes look, your lips, your nose, your ears, your hands, your nails, right? How you dress, your body, whatever it is, there's something physically about you that people have judged, they've discriminated against, and then there's this shift. There's this transformation. So there's a lot of people who deal with an immediate sense of, oh my gosh, I had this completely wrong. And that's why they're staring at you, because you elicit an immediate change. It's almost like an upgrade, a spiritual upgrade when you're around. You promise a spiritual upgrade when you come around, pile 1. And some people just, they're ready for it and others aren't. Yeah, Amaterasu, no more hiding. No more hiding behind judgments. There's no more hiding behind this judgment, the self-judgment either. There's no more hiding their internal feelings. Like, you see through them, but you're also holding yourself really high and proud, and not from an arrogant place, right? Very confident and secure. And that confidence and security is something that forces them to face that unsecure part of themselves. So their insecurities start screaming out, but there's also this shift, and it's a peaceful shift. There's some sort of peaceful shift here. Why do people stare at you, pile one? Why do people stare at you? Yeah, look at this. We have Leo energy with confidence is key. Because of how confident you are. And there's also this humble energy that's coming in as well. Like, you know, confidence can be humble. Confidence is not arrogance. And I feel like a lot of people think that it is, and it's not. You know, it's like you can be super confident and still be very genuine and kind and sincere and humble. And I feel like there's just this humble air around you, but it doesn't, like, your confidence is never wavering, no matter how you look or what you're presented with. Pisces, tune into your intuition. So Neptune energy too. You could be a Pisces sun with a Leo moon or Leo rising, or you could be a Leo sun with a Pisces moon, Pisces rising. But there's this energy too where it's like you just, again, very spiritual. It's a very spiritual essence that you have. So, you know, like, people are immediate to judge, but when you're around, it's almost like I see a broom sweeping up the dust. Like you dust the energy, you cleanse the energy, and it's not something you're doing consciously. It's something that your higher self is doing. And they can't help but listen to you. They can't help but admire you. They can't help but trust that you know exactly what you're talking about, because you have this very ancient energy about you, this very wise energy, this very experienced energy about you. You've been through a lot, and you've gained a lot from what you've experienced. Why do people stare at you? Whoa, flying out. Luck is on your side with new moon in Sagittarius. So a lot of luck does surround you. I feel like that's the other thing too. Like, they just feel like you're lucky that you are who you are. And that's something that, you know, there's a lot of comparison too. You know, like, oh, I wish I was pile one. Or like, if there's people who have your same body style, body type, they might wish that they were you. But then there's something about you that makes them find peace with who they are too. Yeah, your hard work is paying off. New moon in Capricorn. So a lot of healing. You've done a lot of healing, and it shows. It shows in how you show up each and every day. It shows in the way that you present yourself. Yeah. Patience flipping over here. I accept that everything happens in divine order. So again, a very divine energy about you. Very patient, very loving, very open. Success. I know that there's no greater goal than to love. You're an embodiment of unconditional love, and that's growing every day. It's a very powerful energy that you have. And some people are here for it. Let me tell you, some people are here for that unconditional love, and other people are like, oh, heck no. What is that song? Oh, hell to the na, na. I can't remember the guy who sang that. He passed away. It's so sad. But that song, I love that song. That's such a great song. But that's what it feels like. There's some people who are just like, don't you even dare come here with that. I don't want it. But then there are other people like, finally, I'm so glad I found somebody like you that exists, right? It's like people either love or hate you, and that's just it. And that's okay, right? Like, we've talked about that on other readings. It's like, not everyone is for me, and I'm not for everybody. And you have to be okay with that, right? We can't just try to win everybody over. That's exhausting work. And I always mention, like, when people, like, especially for you, Pile One, when people show that you're not for them, just be like, great, I'm glad that we know we don't resonate with each other, but good luck. I wish you luck in finding your people. Like, that's all I can do, right? There's no reason to take it personally. There's no reason to be hurt by it. That's protection for you from the divine, right? Because you've raised up your vibration so much. They don't want you to go and invite toxic people back in and have you sacrificing yourself like you may have at some point. Yeah, yeah, wow. Threat on the bottom here. Feud, a natural enemy and a deadly threat. Yeah, so exactly what I was just talking about. This energy where it's like you just have to wish them well. That song, I wish you well, I wish you well. Yeah, it's like, because honestly, your insecurities, your priorities and insecurities, and there's something else there, ain't the same. And there's it's this guy and this girl, they're talking back and forth to the song, but it's like she's saying to him, it's like your insecurities and your priorities and mine are not the same. You blame me for the things your mother did, and I blame you for the things my father did. Like, so there's this energy that's going, and it's like, I feel like there's a lot of people who feel that, and so they may see you as a natural threat. So if you're masculine, they are seeing you as a threat to the father wound. If you're feminine, they see you as a threat to the mother wound. If you're non-binary, or if you're gender fluid, they see you a threat to both. Right? So it's just whatever you identify with is fine, but that's just it. There's this immediate, like, I have to be on my guard because you see beyond the masks, right? And so, but also with the snake here, there's something very transformative here. You make people leave their old self, their old shell of a self behind. And that's uncomfortable for some people. They're just not ready and willing to do that, which we had, if you caught the, and you can definitely check this out, but the collective message, this pure medicine card came out, and the snake here, you know, there's something that's a rebirth there, but it's how it's winding, the winding road. All right, let's see what else do we have here. So we have the moon in Aquarius with independence. Yeah, you don't see things the same way that everybody else does. Like, you have your own agenda for yourself, right? And that's great. That's great. Honor your agenda for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're very independent. You see the world differently. You approach the world differently. Somehow, even though people may have judged others like you in the past, like maybe you're very spiritual, and maybe there's people who have judged you for being spiritual in the past, but somehow the way that you approach it and you bring that forward, it's like people are starting to accept that around you. And part of that comes from self-acceptance as well. The more you accept yourself, the easier it is for people to feel that self-acceptance, so they accept you as well. And it's just, they're returning back, they're mirroring back the energy that's within. And so you're coming into this place of being far more comfortable with yourself than you have ever been. And you stand out. There's something very unique about you, but you don't let people deter you from your beliefs. You don't let people deter you from how you feel about yourself. And that shows. Yeah, Persephone with new beginnings. You know, Persephone, she was manipulated by Hades, the god of the underworld, and she didn't want anything to do with him, and she went back, and her mom, I can't remember her mom, but her mom is the one that brings the winter in. I don't remember all their names, but anyways, Hades ended up manipulating her and feeding her pomegranate, and she ate it. And the thing is that if you ate anything given to you by the god of the underworld, then you were trapped by the god of the underworld. And so she ends up coming out during the spring, and she's free from spring and summer, but in fall and winter, that's when the world goes cold, and Persephone has to go and spend time in the underworld, right? Like, this is a story about her. So again, manipulation. The god Hades manipulated Persephone because he loved her, but he really, part of it was maybe love, but I think a lot of it was just wanting to own her, wanting to own her spirit, wanting to own her energy, and to have that beauty around him all the time. But again, there was a compromise that was made where she was allowed her freedom for 6 months of the year, and then for 6 months she had to spend time with him. And that's when the world grows cold, because her beauty is gone to sleep, basically. Communication is key. Yeah, so there's also something here about the way that you communicate, like the way that you connect with people. That's why people stare at you. So there's people who are watching you interact with others, and they're seeing that, and that's why they're staring at you, because they've never seen someone who articulates quite like you, or who explains things quite like you, and they really enjoy that. Yeah, and you're very loving energy with care here. Teach, accompany, assist, support. Didn't I say like you might be a spiritual teacher? So that's coming out again. You don't have to be. You could be a teacher. You could be someone who just, you share your thoughts and your opinions wherever you go. That's a way for you to connect with people and to share your wisdom. But that's why people stare at you. It's because of how you present certain information. I can't. We've got manipulate coming out here. Use, arrangement, and strategy. And there's the people who want to manipulate you. They can't. They're met with resistance. So a lot of manipulative energy that's come through here on your reading, and that people don't see you as manipulative. It's just that there's a lot of manipulative people who want to use you. They want to strategize and they want to go against you, but they can't. Like, they're always met with the checkmate. They think they figured it out, and then they're met with a checkmate by you. So we're going to take a look at your card. I have to look at this off of camera just to ensure that it is safe for the camera viewing, because some of these are not. And yes, this is, wow, this card's never come out before. We have crystal clear. Look at this energy. You're led from the heart space, but you have the Fibonacci sequence here. It's unfurling, like these cycles and patterns that keep coming around for some of these people are very uncomfortable, and you give it to them in a very easy way to digest, and it helps them clear their energy and clear their path. So let's see what crystal clear says from the book. Now I have that song stuck in my head. I wish you well, I wish you well. Okay, the first line, I was wrong. That's what I was saying. Like, there's somebody here who's really judgmental. There's a lot of people who are really judgmental of you, and then you prove them wrong just by being you, right? So they're judging you, and then just by your energy being there, like, they're realizing, like, whoa, I was wrong. My old beliefs were looking out of the eyes of my ego. Freedom and responsibility are inseparable. I am not afraid anymore. I know who I am. I accept the consequences of my past actions. All my past decisions, conscious or not, brought me to the place where I am right now. And this is a perfect place. I acknowledge my mistakes. I'm grateful to see them without any guilt. I cannot. Source, thank you so much. So again, there's something about people immediately see their own internalized guilt. Like, there's something about when you show up, they see their own internalized guilt, and they're ready to face it. A lot of them are. I am the creator of everything, and that's why I don't give my power, my responsibility to others. I don't blame it on life circumstances. Now I create new beliefs in a brand new world. I learn to love from my past mirrors, my relationships, and past experiences. I also learn that the past has passed. Freedom. I take over my present freedom. I do not dig anymore into the past. I acknowledge that it is now that I have the power to change things, thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and circumstances. I have the responsibility of acting with love toward my own being, and no one else can do it for me. I give thanks because today I trust in my own power. Yeah, you're very powerful energy. Make sure this doesn't go on. Yeah, no. Wow, what an incredible reading, pile one. What a beautiful energy you have. Thank you for being you, and thank you for letting me do this for you today. So this is what I see here for you. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the little chess piece down below. I think there's a chess piece. Leave a chess piece down below and say, I am clear about who I am, and I let my light shine out to others. And if it resonated with you, it means so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this very powerful message today. And until next time, pile number one, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with Sagittarius on it, and just something to choose from, or if you felt called to this arrowhead, or maybe you felt called to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be a reading on why do people stare at you. We're all here sharing this human experience together. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. I do things differently here, so there might be triggering statements that do arise on the readings themselves. There is no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journeys. If the message resonates with you, it'd mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And please know that your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing it with you today. So with that, let's go ahead and hop to it and find out, why do people stare at you, pile 2? Source, what would you like to share for pile 2 today? Why do people stare at you, pile number 2? Also, really quickly, I just want to mention that we are looking into how people see you, what they think about you, and whatever it is that comes up, it is in no way, shape, or form the truth about who you are. So keeping that in mind moving forward, okay? So we have the 4th house, we have Pisces energy, and we have the South Node. Interesting. So the first thing that came up is that there's people, they're staring at you because they feel like you come from a broken family. That's interesting. Like maybe you're divorced, or you come from like a divorced family, or you know, maybe you live with one of your parents, you know, and especially since recent times, no matter how old you are, like I feel like that's something that's pretty common now, is like maybe living with a parent and to help out or to just be there with them or whatever the case may be. And so you might go shopping a lot with your parent, specifically the mother energy here coming in, but it could be your dad, it could be a grandparent or a grandma or caretaker. And so when people see you, they think that, like, they're staring at you because they think that you're divorced, or they think that you come from a divorced family, and so you're taking on a lot of responsibilities. And that this is something that maybe has been a comfort level for you, is to support the family or to take care of, like, especially with Pisces energy here, it feels like you're taking care of an older person. Right, so you might have stepped up to take care of somebody in the family, or you might have stepped up to even take care. It doesn't have to be an older person. It could be someone who's sick too, like mental health or physical health, like their physical health is declining, or their mental health is declining, or you might have a child who is struggling mentally or, you know, physically. And when people stare at you, they see a caretaker, but they also see misery in that caretaking. And it's not that you're giving off misery. I feel like people are seeing this from their own lens. Like if they had to do what it is that you're doing, like they would just be miserable. They wouldn't be able to do it. They wouldn't be able to handle it. And there's this feeling of like you have a lot of bravery about you, but also just like, how do you carry something so heavy? How do you deal with something so heavy? It doesn't, I mean, it just feels like there's taking care of somebody here, or they see you as taking care of somebody, or maybe this is you work in the medical industry, and that's why they're staring at you. Like, how do you take care of the people here? How do you, you know, like maybe you're a surgeon. Like, how do you cut people open? How do you heal them that way, right? So that's what this feels like. There's a lot of people who are just trying to like wrap their head around what it is that you're doing, like how it is that you're able to do that, okay? And again, it doesn't have to be anything so violent, I guess, or so gruesome. It could just be, maybe you are a therapist and these are like your clients and they're staring at you because they're like, how the heck do they handle this day in and day out? Like just hearing everybody's problems. Like, I just don't think that I could do it. There's a lot of this, I don't think I could do that. That's the type of energy that's coming through here. And then they see you handle it with such ease, and they see you handle it with such grace. And in some ways they see you handling it with, there's a lot of beauty that comes from that too. Right? How you make people feel, or how you are able to deal with very difficult situations and stay calm and connected and in a state of nurturance. Like you could be a nurse that's still very connected to people, you know, like being a nurse, and there's nothing against nurses because they deal with so much hard stuff. Eventually, sometimes what can happen is this detachment, though, from people. Like, it's almost like an automatic or robotic response. And I feel like a lot of people stare at you, and even this could be coworkers, they just see you still being very compassionate and kind with people. Like, you're not detached no matter how difficult things get. Like, I keep seeing like an emergency room, like the ER. I keep seeing like people coming in and dealing with various things. And again, it doesn't have to be this, but it's something along those lines. It's very stressful. It's very overwhelming. It's very difficult. And so I feel like people stare at you when you're still dealing with clients, or when you're dealing with patients, or when you're dealing with people, and wondering, how is it that you're still able to come from this place of kindness and compassion and not feel like there's a need for you to put a barrier between yourself and the radical ups and downs that come from this industry that you're in, or this position that you're in. Like, you could work in a nursing home too, right? And nursing homes are surrounded by a lot of death, and that could be something too. It's like, how are you able to still connect with everybody here at the nursing home, even though you know that they might not be here for very long? And for you, it's just a part of who you are. Like, you're very empathic, and you just have this ability to connect with people on a much deeper level. It's not very surface for you. And I feel like if you're, specifically if you're dealing with older people, they are very appreciative of it because it reminds them of old times gone by. And that's something that they're very appreciative of. But there's also an energy here where people are just like, I just don't understand how you can handle that. Death is one of the, there's like 6 fears that we have as humans, and death is at the top of those fears. And I feel like maybe it's not death, but it's something along those lines. Like, it could be spiritual and emotional death, right? Like this renewal, but it feels like there's something that's very ending, very final in what it is that you do. And people just wonder how you're able to continue to smile and face what it is that you do when it's rough, right? Especially with South Node energy here. It's just something like they would not be comfortable in that, but you found a way to be comfortable in it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're in South Node energy. What it feels like is, it's like people are seeing it as something that you settled for, or something that you almost become not immune, but numb to. But you don't show signs of being numb to it. You know, one thing I'll never forget, when my mom was diagnosed with brain cancer, they thought that she might have had a stroke because she had symptoms of having a stroke. And so the doctor that was doing her x-rays, she came and she explained what was going on. She says, well, your mom has all the symptoms of having a stroke. And she's like, but she could also have brain cancer. So there's that. And that's how she relayed the information to myself and all of my family members that were there. And we were just like, what? How did we go from a stroke to brain cancer? Like, where was there? And she just walked away. Like, she just dropped this bomb, like no emotion on her face, just basically giving us a piece of information, and then just walked away. And I mean, I know, like, now I know that it's just, that's what she was dealing with constantly. There was just constantly giving bad news to people. And it's like, it's really easy just to get checked out so that you're not so overwhelmed by that. And I feel like that's the type of energy that's coming in, where it's like you have something that you do on the regular where you could be so checked out from what it is that people are facing around you. And yet you still show up with an open heart. You still show up, sometimes with tears in your eyes, with the people who are around you. Sometimes with laughter with the people around you. Like, you're not detached, but you are in a way. you are in the way that's necessary, but detached while still holding space for emotion and compassion for what people are going through. And I feel like there's a sense of real peace that comes from that, from the people who are staring at you. Like, this is something that they see happening regularly. So it's definitely people that are around you. You might not know these people personally, like, especially if you work in a hospital. These are just people who might be there for a while, and they see you and they're just really grateful that you are who you are. You know, and likewise, my mom, like, after she went through her second brain surgery, you know, and they told us that she can't have another one. Like, that's it. It's like they get the limit of 2, I guess. And that was what the doctor had told us. But afterwards, she was in the hospital, and she was supposed to be there for another week and a half, and she was having a hard time adjusting and acclimating to the recovery center that she was in. And she got so freaked out, my mom did, that she stood up and she ripped out all of her IVs and the cords that she was attached to. And I was walking in, and because I had just come to visit her, and I was walking in, and when I walked in, I saw my mom running at as full speed as she could out of her hospital room, and the nurses were trying to hold her down. They grabbed her, and they were doing all these things, and they're like telling her, you need to come back, you need to come back, like, you can't do that, you can't do that. And this big RN, he was like this massive teddy bear, and he was probably 6'4" and built like a linebacker. He walked right in front of my mom, and I'm gonna cry because this guy made life easier for her. He engulfed her in a hug, and my mom lost it. She just started sobbing, and she told him, I can't do this, and I saw this happen. And he listened to her, what she said, and he said, I understand, and he let her cry, and he held her. And he never let her go. He just sat there and held her, and I can't tell you for how long. And I was crying because she was crying, and it was so hard. And he took her back to the room, and he held her hand, and he got her all hooked back up, and he said, you know, I know that you don't want to be here, but we need to make sure that you're okay to go home. And he said running away isn't going to solve anything. And he was so gentle and kind. And after that, the nurses, they assigned him to her for the rest of the time that she was in the hospital. And every morning when he got there, he came in, and the first thing he did was give her a hug. And my brother had passed away 4 years before my mom got diagnosed with cancer. And she always said, she's like, I'm so glad he comes and gives me a hug, because his hugs remind me of my brother. And it was just the most beautiful thing. Like, you know, going through this really hard thing with our family, and this happened, and I feel like that's exactly the type of energy that you have. Is like, you're that person, you're that angel for people who go through really, really difficult things. And that's why people stare. Like, they can't even say anything because they don't understand, you know. Like, it's not that the nurses were mean. Every nurse that she had was super nice and super kind, but you know, and I feel like that's a thing around you. It's like all the other nurses or all the other people are super kind, they're super nice, but they're just, when they're relaying information, they're very detached, and you're not. Like, you're in the thick of it with these people, and it's like, it's a really beautiful energy. It's calming. It's, yeah. Wow, I just got so emotional, guys. Like, oh my gosh, okay. Let me take a drink. Okay. Why do people stare at you, pile 2? Thank you. Why do people stare at you, pile 2? Okay. Why do people stare at you, pile 2? Thank you. Why do people stare at you? Yeah. There's something here that it fills you with such a sense of purpose, what you do. It's like there's no way I could be disconnected from people. This is like something that you really enjoy doing, but it's also something that's really, really hard. But you're so committed to it, and you are, I feel like this is something that's led through your heart. Like, you're very passionate about it, and your passion shows in everything that you do. And there's a lot of people who are in the same type of industry that you're in that just do it because maybe it's a good paycheck, and maybe it's not, but you know, it's just something that there's a seat that needs to be filled. And for you, it's so much more, and you wear that on your sleeve. And there's a lot of people who are inspired by that, and I feel like there's also a lot of jealousy, but more than anything, people are just in awe. They're in awe of how you're able to handle what you handle with the love that you give, with the Two of Cups here. It's like this love that radiates off of you for the people that you connect with, or the people that you handle each day, or the people that you're around each day, or the person that you're around each day. Maybe this is with the Two of Cups and the Pope here. This could be a marriage. This could be your spouse that you're taking care of, and you just are so dedicated to them. Even in, you know, like what is it they say, in sickness and in health, right? Like that's a vow that is so serious to you. You're just like, no, like, I don't understand why people would run away from this. And, you know, you're committed, and you learned what you needed to, and you do what you need to do. But if it's not a spouse here, it's just showing that this is something that you're, like, that's what it means to you. It's just a very serious act for you. This is something that's coming from the depths. It's like I keep feeling it in my solar plexus. Like, you're moved to compassion through your solar plexus, right? Like, our heart is getting connected to by our third eye, which compassion comes from our heart. But our heart chakra actually forces this energy into our solar plexus, which moves us to action. And that's where you're coming from. You're getting moved into action. And people, when they stare at you, like, they have that feeling, right, that I was getting earlier. It's like they're seeing it through their own lens, like their own projection. Like, I could never do this, right? Like, I could never go through what you go through. It would tear me apart. It would rip me to shreds. Like, it would just overwhelm me. But there's something about you being able to do this that just gives you such a sense of fulfillment through it. Why do people stare at you? Yeah. Okay, so the 10 of Coins. No, this came out in pile 1 in the exact same place and in the same direction. So in the reverse. Okay, so 2 stories here. All right, so let's talk about the Lover real quick. This is a spouse. This is somebody you love. This could be family. Okay, specifically spouse, but it could be family. Okay. People see this. They see what you do with this person. They see how you are with this person. Like, maybe you take them out every day. You walk at the same park every day. You're trying to help them stay mobile and go out, and, you know, just taking care of them. And with the Lover in reverse, we see that most people would decide to run, right? And they're just not that committed to it. They just wouldn't see it as that serious, or they wouldn't see it as something that they could pour their whole heart and soul into. Like, even if they took a vow, that vow is not serious enough for them to stay as committed as you are. And that's why people stare at you. Like, you might share your story with people as you're going about, or you maybe have a spouse. This is a very specific, but it is coming in, and I know that this can be really hard, but maybe you had a spouse that had passed away, and you tell this story, and that's why people stare at you, is because they're hearing this story, like, they're hearing you tell it to other people, and they're just thinking to themselves, like, I could never put myself through that situation that pile number 2 has, to take care of somebody. I would have left a long time ago. And for you, it's like, I feel like there's this feeling, if I don't do it, who's going to? Like, if I don't show up for this, who's going to? So that's the thing. And it's like, maybe it was at some point, like, yes, there's a little bit of an obligation to, but I feel like the obligation was completely outweighed by the vow that you took. Like, the obligation is just a part of it. And it was something that you agreed to and you signed up for, and you knew that. But the vow, whatever vow is here, like do no harm, or to love people, or to share with people, and to protect people, like whatever it is, there's a vow here that far outweighs the struggles that you went through. Like, you understood the struggle going in. And that's why people stare at you. They can't believe that you are capable of doing something like this, because they don't feel like they could ever do that. Now, for others, this is the industry that you went into with the 10 of coins here. This is the industry that you went into, and most people got involved in it because of the money. The money that comes from this is a very difficult situation. They can get paid really good. They might be able to coast by in some situations, not so much in others, but there's also a lot of high stress anxiety with it. And they cannot believe that you didn't do it for the money. And that's why people stare at you, like, even if this is patients or clients or something, like when they see you and how driven you are by it, whatever it is that you're doing, they're just wondering to themselves, like, how are they not, like, maybe you're a lawyer, right? Like, you could be a lawyer. People are like, being a lawyer is hard. And you're like, man, I love it. I love showing up every day, and I get to help people. I get to protect people. I get to take care of people. Maybe you're an advocate or something like that. It's like, whatever it is that you do, it's very important to you, and that's why you're drawn to doing it every day. And it's no less difficult, but because you love it so much, it's never been about the money. It's been about the purpose, the sense of purpose that it's given you. And like I said, this energy, it's like people stare at you because they have this misconstrued idea of whatever it is that you do entails. Or it's even people who are in the same industry as you, and they're just seeing it through a very limited view. They're seeing it through their own lens of the difficulties that are coming, or the difficulties that they've gone through already. And they're not seeing the blessing that is there, that you see at each and every turn. So I want to get some more. What's some more that you can tell us for pile number 2? The Page of Pentacles. Yeah, it's like you feel like this is a gift. I feel like you have a talent, a natural talent for this. The 9 of Wands that others find very difficult. And with the 9 of Wands, it's also showing like this has to do with health, or this could very well point towards health situation, something that is regarding health. Like you, and also I feel like it has to do with, if this is a high stress situation, like you still always maintain your health. Like you get enough rest, you take care of yourself, you take care of your body. And that's another reason why people stare at you, is because like they don't understand how you're able to do that. Because of the 10 of Cups here. Yeah, because of happiness, fulfillment. This is like wish fulfillment for you. Wow. You know, I always talk about that. Like, I'm so glad that we have doctors and surgeons. Personally, I couldn't do it. I don't have the stomach for it. Like, even when they do like doctor stuff on TV, like I'm the first one to cover my eyes. I'll even cover my ears if you can hear anything. And if I'm watching with someone, I'll say, please tell me when it's over with, because I can't, I can't. But I'm so glad that doctors and surgeons exist, because we need them, right? Like, that's a blessing. That's a gift to us. And, you know, it was like cool, because it's fascinating to me, the people who are able to stomach stuff like that, because I just can't. Like, I'm not a person that is trying to figure out if there's something morbid on the side of the highway when there's an accident. Like, I always say a prayer and I just keep on moving. I don't want to know, because I don't want to see it. I don't like it. I don't like horror movies, because I don't like the gore. Like, that's just who I am. And so I feel like that's the thing. It's like people see it through that lens, right? And I can definitely equate to that, because it's like, I just can't do it. But whatever it is that you're doing, it's like there's a sense of happiness here. There's a sense of fulfillment. There's a sense of excitement in what it is that you do. And I feel like there's a lot of challenge to it as well. And so in some aspect, it's like keeping you young. It's keeping you sharp. And people stare at you because they see this. Like, you wear it every day on your sleeve, or you wear it on your heart, or you wear it on your face. Like, it's just every day. Like, you just are excited to be there, right? Yeah, the Daughter of Cups. Yeah, there's just a lot of happiness here. Look, in the moon underneath that is something that's like, it's like a hidden understanding. When I saw the moon, that's what this felt like, a hidden understanding. But only you need to understand it, Pile 2. You're the only person that needs to understand it. No one else needs to. I don't need to understand it. It's for you, and I'm glad. I'm glad you found something that you really like, that you really enjoy, and that it's so difficult. Because it feels like only you can do this, right? It's what it really feels like. Only you can do this, and I think that's really cool. So we have Pisces with intimacy, intuition, and compassion. Exactly. What was I saying? That compassion, that intimacy. You're very intimate with the people that you work with. Like, you may know, like, so again, example here is like being a surgeon. Like, you may get to know your patients. You may know their first name. You may know something about them, and you may go in and ask them. Like, if you're doing rounds or something in the hospital, like, you may actually stop in on your patients and say, hey, I'm just checking on you, or you have like a running joke with them or something like that. And you know, it's something that it's like that. Okay, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to be a surgeon again. Like, you could be a nurse and you just really know your patients really well. You could be a therapist and you really pay attention to the people that you talk to every day. And so it's not like you want them to feel comfortable when they come in. And that's why people stare at you, because they're shocked that you're always coming from this very open, beautiful, healing energy. Also, you might resonate with the collective message that I did at the beginning, which, if you feel called to see that or listen to that, you'll find the timestamp in the description box. North Node energy. Yes, you're destined to have, you're in your North Node. So he's saying, like, why we had South Node energy here is because it's something you're comfortable with, but it's something that most people would be completely uncomfortable with. But there's been a lot of courage for you to step out to do what it is that you're doing. And it's not for everyone. Whatever it is that you're doing, it's not for everyone. And that's why people stare at you, because it's like you make it seem easy, you make it seem effortless, you make it seem like it's the most fun thing in the world. And it leaves people really confused, honestly. Okay, so these cards flipped over. We have Mercury in Libra with influence. Yeah, so you definitely impact the people around you. And then we have Mars in Aquarius with rebellion. Yeah, it's a rebellion. It's an active rebellion, what you're doing. Right? We have the 7th house and 11th house energy here. There's some sort of community here and people you're building relationships with, communicating with them, right? Building some sort of, there's something very vulnerable about what it is that you're doing. It's exposing, right? And I can imagine, like, if you're a nurse or even like a therapist, like, people are exposed to you, right? Some of their most intimate situations are being revealed to you. And you have this power to influence them. But also this rebellion energy, it's like you're so different from what people might think of mainstream, whatever it is that you do. Right? Yeah. We have Jupiter in Libra with negotiation. Something again about vulnerability here. A lot of being exposed, a lot of vulnerability. But with negotiation, it's like there's some way that you're able to connect with people and help them make the best decisions for themselves. I don't feel like you make those decisions for them, but you definitely provide a lot of information. You give them a lot of different options, and you're also someone who feels like you are willing to talk to them about the difficulties. And that's something that sets you apart from other people. This just feels like whatever you do, most people just do very surface level, you know, like, I don't even want to get in touch with people like that. I don't even want to connect with people like that. And that's just not who you are at all. And that's why people stare at you, because they're just like, I just want to know how they do it. Yeah, life force energy. It's all about healing. There's something very cleansing about your energy too. So like people are getting vitality from you just by you being you like that. Like it's like you giving back life to them. You know, like I was saying at the beginning with my mom and that nurse, the reason why he was the way he was is because he was raised by his grandma, and his grandma passed away from cancer as well, and it was really hard. He was the one that took care of her, and actually he said that's the reason why he became an RN, was because of that. But he was someone who, when he talked to people, no matter who they were, like he gave them life. He wished them life. He was feeding them with life. Like it wasn't focusing on the negative. He was so set on focusing on what was positive. What's one little thing that we can focus on today? And it was feeding life to others, and it was cleansing in this way. And I feel like that's why my mom was able to calm down when he helped her, because he was giving her something where she was being told by everybody that you only have a few months left to live. I mean, she was basically right there when she went to the hospital. She was at work, she was fine. She went to leave work, and then she couldn't get the key in the ignition, and her coworker ended up calling my family and was like, you know, something's wrong. And she went from being completely fine to all of a sudden her life was handed to her on a timetable in a matter of an hour. And it was just it was so wild. Like that's how fast it can happen. And I feel like, you know, that blessing is when there's people there who can observe that and give back. You know, it's like you don't have to focus on the end of life. And that was one thing my mom would say, you know, when people would ask her, how are you doing today? And she's like, I'm dying. How do you think I'm doing? Like she was just so scared. And, you know, I was like, most people, they didn't know how to respond or react to that. And when she said that to him, he was like, hey, you know, I know it's hard. And he would go in and he would tell her things about his grandma, and he would tell her things about himself, and he would ask her things about what she liked. Like it was like this dynamic that happened between them. He just never let that be the end. He never let that be the reason he walked away, when so many other people let that be the reason they walked away, that they cut contact with her. And you can look at it as something that's toxic, but fear makes us do so many things. And I feel like what you deal with is there's a fearful element to it. And, you know, like maybe you're a construction worker who works up on the top of the skyscrapers or something. That's scary, right? For people who are afraid of heights, like they're putting it through their own viewpoint. And they're just like, oh my gosh, like how do you sit up there? You might even sit on the beams, the high beams, and eat your lunch up there. You know what I mean? And people are just seeing it through their own thing. Like I couldn't do that. I'd be so scared of falling. I would just be totally stuck right there. And somehow you look at it from this very calming lens, this very welcoming, right? Look at how his hands are open here. It's a very welcoming type of energy, and this giving back. Even if there is a sense of finality to it, it doesn't matter, because it's like, I'm going to do the best that I can do with the time that I've got. A lot of Libra energy coming out for you. So you might have a Libra sun, Libra in the 11th house, the 7th house, Libra, Aries, North and South nodes are coming in, or Mercury in Libra. Yeah, or just a lot of Libra. Maybe you just have a lot of Libra in your chart. We have to find your balance. Yeah. So that's exactly what you've done. You've learned what your balance is in this situation, and you've leaned into that. Cusp, break on through. Nothing is holding you back anymore. Nothing. Even people's like fears and their own worries. Maybe before that was something that kept you from really pouring into yourself and pouring into this thing that you really, really enjoy. And now you're just like, you know what? I love what I do so much. I'm not going to let their fear be what keeps me from doing it. And now you're very authentic. And that's why people stare at you a lot. There's also something that's like, even most of the time you're not incredibly serious. Like, I do feel like you're very open and welcoming, but there's also this energy that's coming through. It's like when you need to be serious, you're very serious and you're very focused in that moment, but you also do something to lighten the mood right after. Like, it's not like we need to be serious when we're serious, but we also don't need to just be fixated on being serious. Yeah, meditate and contemplate, new moon in Pisces. So there's something in the unknown here that's involved in what you do, and it's like people stare, like you have this unwavering faith, or you have this unwavering trust that things are going to work out, and there's this feeling of like doing what you do where you're touching the divine in a very unique and intimate way by doing what it is that you're doing. And it could be working at an office. It could be working in a restaurant. Like, it doesn't have to be anything in the health department. I'm just saying, like, that's the one that's the heaviest that's coming in right now. And it's just something about what you do. It's very mystical and touching the divine in a very beautiful way, and that shines through you, and that's why people stare at you. Yeah, worry. I'm learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. So there's an element about what you do where there's a lot of worry. There's a lot of people who worry, which would make sense if it is the healthcare, right? Health is something people worry about constantly. But it's like realizing that if we focus on what's not happening for us instead of focusing on the good things that are happening for us, then we're getting lost. And you have this way of bringing people back to a very grounded and centered place. And that helps them to absorb the information that you're giving in a much easier way. So worth flipped over here. Efforts will be rewarded, within reach, and success lies in hands. Yeah, so this is giving you a sense of worth, a sense of value, a sense of purpose. I mean, of course, what we do isn't our worth, but it doesn't mean that what we do won't actually aid in our sense of self-worth, because I do feel like this is something that has given that back to you. I also feel like what you do has given you a sense of, like, it's almost like you recognize that life is so finite and you live from that. It's like, I hear that song, live like you were dying. Who sings that? It's a country song. I don't know. It's Live Like You Were Dying. That's the name of the song. And I hope you love deeper. I hope you something sweeter. Hope you. He talks about riding this bull, a bull named June. Yeah, Toby Keith, I think. Maybe it's Toby Keith. Maybe. Anyways, yeah, I just feel like that's the thing. Like, you live, you really live. And most people are just trying to survive, but not you. You're living. And that's why people are staring at you, is because you're truly living. Yeah, oh my gosh, with promise. Maybe you work in a veterinarian's office. You know, people who lose their animals, like, that's a really hard thing too, right? So we have oath, contract, and emotional bond, but I mean, definitely coming in with the emotional bond here. Like, this is that energy that I keep feeling. This is why people stare at you, because you just have this unwavering emotional bond with others. No matter what their walk of life is, no matter what they're doing, where they're from, like, you just have this way of connecting with them that's powerful, and it's like, it's life-changing. Mars in Capricorn with authority. This gives you the Pope energy. There's a commitment here. You're committed to this with the 10th house energy too. This is what you do for work. That's what it feels like here. There's a lot of wisdom that comes with this as well. You have connected with a lot of knowledge. You've had to take a lot of schooling. You've had to work really hard to get to where you are. And your efforts are paying off. Like, you are seen as super knowledgeable and wise in what it is that you do. But again, I feel like why people are staring at you is just this energy, like they don't understand how you're able to do that. This came out in pile number 1 too, Persephone with new beginnings. So you could be here from pile number 1. But I feel like you help give new beginnings, that new life to people. Bring love into the situation. Yeah, with the 2 of Cups energy, new moon and Aquarius, that's what you're doing. You're bringing love into a situation that otherwise feels very cold and distant. Pride. I love myself and I see myself in everyone. And I feel like that's a really profound card to come through here for you, pile 2, because it's like that's exactly what it is. It's like you love yourself and that love is radiating out to everybody else. And that's why people stare at you, because it's unwavering. Reject. Negation, never forbidden, taboo. This is what it feels like. The reject card is coming out because it's like whatever it is that people are feeling from you, most people, like, they'd reject it. They couldn't do it. They'd say, oh no. They would be disconnected. They'd be detached. They would be cold. They would be cruel. They'd be unkind, and that's not you at all. Whatever it is that you're doing, you're not unkind. You're very open and kind, and even if it's something that's a really harsh, like, you're still coming from this very compassionate place, like a place of understanding. Even if you yourself have not gone through or experienced what the people around you have gone through, your own life experience has given you insight on how to be present with them as they're going through this difficult time. So let's see what this is. I do have to look at this card off camera to make sure it's camera appropriate, and we'll go ahead and read this from the book. Yeah, so interesting. Just checking the card over. We have the cosmic uterus. A safe space. Yeah. There's like the third eye here. Third eye energy coming in here, right? Something that you speak into others. That's what I was saying. I kept feeling like the solar plexus chakra. We have this lotus flower right over her solar plexus. Right beneath the heart. You have the wolf, which is something that you intuitively, instinctually know how to do. And you're driven by your intuition. You're driven by a deeper knowing. But with the cosmic uterus, this is like an all-encompassing feeling. This is like the cosmic mother, right? The cosmic womb. It's where we're growing. But you're the womb. You're the one where people get to grow, where people get to gestate, to take on whatever it is, this information that you're giving them, or this direct news that you're giving them. But you give them a safe space to let it permeate and to let it really sink in. Let's see what cosmic uterus says. It says, since time immemorial, the seed of life has been planted and nourished by the energy of the universe. The sun fertilizes the earth, and the earth gives birth to all her species. Life in any of its forms manifests itself in light. I am that light. I am light contemplating itself. In the mystery of my origin, I glimpse a succession of wombs intertwined in blood, stories, and legacies. Stories of life-giving women go back to the origin of creation, an origin that shows me that my existence is only possible today because a great number of improbable events unfolded exactly the way that they did. The primordial matrix reminds me that abundance has always been here and now in the present. Thank you for the miracle, for I am the light of the beginning and I am the light of the end. I give birth to my creation. I give birth to myself. I step into light. Gratitude. What exists today will not remain forever. I ask myself, what am I taking for granted, and what values are the foundation of my existence? I stop and become aware for a moment of things that fill my life. I am grateful for the small. I am grateful for the grand. Gratitude is a practice that strengthens me and opens the door to enjoyment, to the satisfaction of living. The universe is a symphony of vibrating strings. We are nothing but melodies, cosmic music played out on vibrating strings and membranes. Yeah, so there's like this deep connection that you have with others. And that's that energy. It's like I'm grateful for the small, I'm grateful for the grand. It's like you're helping people be grateful for everything that's going on in their lives. Not to focus on the hardships, but to focus on the things that are possible right now, to focus on the things that matter right now. And that's why it's like people would reject what it is that you do, and that's why they stare at you, because they are rejecting it internally. But there's also a sense of deep gratitude for many, many people who have actually had an opportunity to connect with you, because you have changed their lives for the better in more ways than one. So thank you for doing whatever you do, pile number 2. Just an incredible energy overall, and I'm truly honored I got to do this reading for you today. But this is what I see here for you. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the little caduceus down below and say, by staying in touch and in tune with my own heart, I'm able to vibrate that love into the world, which changes lives. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you're to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, our angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this message. And until next time, pile 2, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with Jupiter on it, or maybe you were called to this smoky quartz, or perhaps you felt called to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be your reading on why do people stare at you. We're all here sharing this human experience together. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. I do things differently here on this channel, so there might be triggering statements that do arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journeys. Should the messages happen to resonate with you, it would mean the world to me if you're to like, comment, and subscribe below. And please know that your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing. And I'm deeply honored to be here sharing them with you today. So with that, let's go ahead and hop to it and find out, pile 3. Why do people stare at you? Would you like to share with pile number 3 today, source? Why do people stare at you? Why do people stare at you, pile 3? I also want to mention that we are tapping into how other people see you. And whatever it is that comes out is in no way, shape, or form the truth of who you are. So keeping that in mind as we move forward with your reading today, okay? And then I just feel like I need to mention this, pile 3, but there was, if you didn't watch the intro, I'd mentioned that this was a channel message from Source that I received after taking a nap. And it was so strong and powerful that it came through that I know that there's a message here for somebody. And so we might go off script or we might go off topic, but it's because there's a message that needs to come out. And I just feel like I need to mention that here for you today, pile 3, okay? So we've got the 6th house, we've got Mercury, and we've got Pisces energy. Why do people stare at you? It's the way you talk and the way you look. Especially like when you're at work, or like if you're dealing with animals, like maybe you work with animals, or when you're out, like if you have dogs and you're walking your dogs or something like that, or when you're taking care of your own animals. If people see that, or how you are, maybe you're with other people's animals, right? You could be on a walk, like I have always done this, and so you might resonate with that too, where you've gone out and you see other people with their dogs or their animals, and you're like immediately like, oh hey, can I pet your dog? Can I see your dog? You know, like, and it's like when people see you interacting with them and talking to them and, you know, being kind and gentle with them, there's this compassion that's emanating from you. Also at work, like the way you talk to your coworkers, no matter what you've been through with your coworkers, you still always come from this very kind place. Not nice, but a very kind place. You're very straightforward when you're talking to people, but you're also coming from a place of love, and that emanates from you, and that's why people stare at you. Even if there's been people who've had problems with you in the past, or you've had problems with them, then they would expect you to be very curt with them or very abrasive towards them, and you're not. You're still coming from this place of compassion and kindness and very open-heartedness. You know, there's not, it's like there's no bad blood, right? Like, I don't have beef with you. Like, we worked it out. It's over with. It's yesterday's news. Let's move on. And you really come from that type of energy. Also, I feel like people stare at you because when you are talking, this came out in the collective reading too, so you might resonate with that, which if you do feel called to listening to that, you'll find it timestamped below in the description box. But the way you talk, the way you articulate things, the way you speak, there's something very unique about that. So you could have a very beautiful accent or very thick accent, but still speak with a lot of clarity. Oh, why is this camera going in and out of focus there? Do you see that? I wonder if the camera caught it. Yeah, look at it. It's going in and out of focus. This is wild. I've never seen this. This is my new camera too. Hold on. It's like a heartbeat. Hold on. Okay. That was wild. I've never seen that before. Yeah, it's like a heartbeat. Something about a heartbeat here. Like your heart beats for others, or your heart, you're coming from your heart space always. You communicate from the heart, and that's a different type of energy than people who are just trying to be heard or trying to be seen. Like, that's not you. You're really trying to connect with the people that are around you, and you might be someone who's read How to Win Friends and Influence People, or you just really come from that type of energy where you're more interested in people than you are about sharing your own story, which is actually really rare in this day and age, because most people are just concerned about waiting for there to be a pause so that they can fill the space with whatever they're thinking or whatever it is that's going on in their life right now. You know, like, oh my gosh, you know, I just got new shoes. And you're like, what does that have to do with our conversation? And even if you were to ask people that, like, they'd be like, I don't know, I just needed to tell you that I got new shoes or something like that. It's like so random how people talk nowadays. They don't actually have conversations. They have fill the silence. That's what it is. And that's not you. Like, you actually have conversations. You stay present with the conversation. Like, even if you're not sure what to say, you'll still say something that feels right to you, and people are just really surprised and shocked because you are able to maintain conversation, and you're able to adapt with the flow of conversation. You're able to adapt to the flow of the people around you. And it's not you being influenced by them. It's about you just not fighting the situation, right? Not trying to push back, not being in a stance of resistance. You're very much go with the flow type of energy, and that's why people stare at you, because even when they would be pushing back or trying to cause drama or trying to cause a problem, like, you're not. You're just, what's up? What's going on? What do you need? Okay? Oh, well, yes or no. Like, you stand up for yourself and you set boundaries for yourself. But most of the time you're very helpful, and if you have the energy to spare, like, you are going to assist people because it comes from your heart. Hiccup of confirmation. Yep. And I feel like that's something that people are always just shocked by, and they stare at you because they're watching it unfold, right? So if you work with a lot of people, like the people that you're working with, they're present with you, or they're not, maybe they're not, but everybody around you is staring at you as you're interacting with the people that you work with, right? So that's like what I'm getting here. Like, when you're out about and you're helping people out in the store, you're helping people out and about, whatever, it's like people around you are watching as you're acting with these people, how you're acting, not acting with, but how you're acting with these people, what it is that you're saying, how you're approaching them, and how you're present with the conversation. You know, you might be somebody who just naturally says hi to people everywhere you go. Like, you could just smile and nod at people because, you know, you're just very outgoing. You don't have to be. But I feel like that's something that's really powerful is coming through here. And so why people stare at you is because that's not common anymore, you know. But it might be common from where you're from, just to smile at people and say hi, or to nod or acknowledge that there's people there. It might not even be about asking how are you, or like trying to stop to have conversations with people. Just acknowledging people is a big thing, you know. But I do feel like you have conversations with people, and when you do have those conversations, people are staring because they're shocked at how present you are. Like, they wouldn't think that someone like you would be so present in a conversation. And most of the time when people are thinking that, it's because they're not, right? They'd be more concerned about what's on their phone, where their next errand is, what they're cooking for dinner, what they did yesterday afternoon, whatever it is, right? So let's get some cards out and see what comes through for you. Why do people stare at you? They have the wrong idea about who you are. Yeah, you're so balanced, and you have this equal give and take. Like, if somebody gives you something, you're going to give that back to them. And it's not like most people treat it like transactional, and you don't. Like, you don't treat connection transactionally. You don't treat people transactionally. Like, you are present with them as they're present with you. And that's why it's like, if you're going to give me your time and your energy, I'm going to give you my time and my energy. And people are misguided, and they have this misinterpretation of who you are, thinking that, you know, oh, well, I couldn't be present with people that way. Like, I would have other things to worry about. Like, don't they have anything going on? Or they're misguided in the sense that they're thinking, well, you're only able to be that present with people because you had an easy life, or you had, you know, you had life easy, or an easy life and life easy, the same thing. Yeah, that you've had things easy or given to you on a silver platter. And I feel like you're actually this way because of all the difficulties and hardships that you've gone through. You know what it is to be at the lowest of low and have nobody acknowledge you. Yeah. And a lot of you are very spiritually driven to do this. Like, you could be a shaman. You could also just be a healer, like an energy healer. Like, you know that your interactions with people are very healing, and so you might just feel really driven to connect with certain people on the go. Yeah, this is interesting. There is this message that's coming in here with the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse and the Three of Swords in the reverse next to the Ace of Wands here. That at some point this felt like a curse to you. Like, maybe it was really exhausting dealing with people, like before you knew how to protect your energy, or before you knew how to manage your energy better. And this felt like more of a curse. This felt like you're undoing the spiritual calling. There's a lot like where you're just like, oh, like, why am I the one that has to give these messages? Or why am I the one that has to connect with people this way? Or why am I the one that has to listen to people's stories? Like, why do they have to share their stories with me? And I feel like that is something that's changed, but that's also something that other people, like when they stare at you, like they're thinking that too. Like, why does pile 3 have to listen to those stories? Or like, why do they get that information from others? Like, how do they get that information from others? And they're seeing it from a very closed off perspective. Most are seeing it off from a very nosy perspective rather than clarity and truth. They're seeing it from a very egoic place. Yeah, something that's very manipulative, right? People would see, like, they see this, you getting this very precious information, or you having access to this precious information from others. Or, you know, like that, like you maybe with pets, right? Like, you're able to connect with pets on a very precious level. And they're sitting there thinking like, oh, well, if I had that, then I could do this, that, and the other. It's all very manipulative how they're thinking about it. They're not seeing the gift for what it is. There's a lot of people here who are seeing what they themselves would do with it if they had that ability. Like, they would use it to their own advantage. And that's not what it is for you. I feel like for a lot of you, this has been something that's weighed on your conscience for a while, and you've had to learn how to really accept this part of yourself, and in that acceptance to integrate it into your own journey. And that's taken a lot of effort on your part, and a lot of surrender, right? Maybe not effort, but a lot of surrender, because there was a lot of battling this for a time, especially with the Ace of Wands, right? It felt like it was your own undoing at some point, but somewhere along the way, something shifted for you, and now it's like you listen to those messages as they come, and you pass them on. You know, like you might be at the store and you might see somebody at the store, and you might just go and say hi to somebody at the store, and they might start crying and be like, oh my gosh, like this happened to me not that long ago. It was about probably like a month and a half ago. This type of energy, this is what they're showing me. This type of energy. So let me explain something that happened, and hopefully this will make sense to you. But I was at Walmart and I was getting some stuff, and there was this daughter and her mother there. And the mother was getting some chips from the chip aisle, and my family had their cart parked there, and I was getting something because usually I just have my family park their cart and then I go down the aisles, just because when it's really busy, that's just easier. It's just easier to walk down an aisle instead of taking your cart down the aisle. And I was gone. And when I turned around and came back, I watched as this lady put something into our cart, and I waited a second, and she looked up and she realized she saw my family. She goes, oh my gosh, like I thought this was my daughter's cart. And I started laughing, you know, and I was like, it's okay. I was like, that just happens when it's busy, and you know, life is funny that way. And I was like, sometimes you just got to go with the flow. And all of a sudden she was brought to tears. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I put my hand on her shoulder and I was like, are you okay? And her daughter said, yeah. She's like, we're okay. She said, but my dad passed away 2 days ago. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And her mom, she gathered up her energy and she says, I'm so sorry. She's like, I'm not trying to cry. And I was like, you have every right to cry. Are you kidding me? Like, that you're going through a lot right now. And she's like, no. She's like, but he used to always tell me that we just need to go with the flow. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she's like, so I was crying because that's something that he used to tell me all the time. And I don't even know you from Adam, and you said that to me, and it just felt like he was talking to me through you. And I was like, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's here with you right now. And I didn't tell her what I do for a living. I didn't tell her I'm a psychic medium. I didn't say any of that because there's no need for that. It was just in that moment, it was a message that needed to be passed on. It was nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with her. And I feel like that's the type of energy that you have, where that same thing happens, where you're out and about, you're gifted something from spirit, from source, from the universe, from the divine, and you pass that on. And so it's not about, you know, like, and maybe you do tell people like, oh yeah, I have psychic abilities. Maybe you do share that about yourself, but I feel like it just feels like you're more focused on what they're going through in that moment. And that's why they're showing this story to me again. I wasn't even thinking about it, and then they showed me this story and they're like, here. So I feel like that's what it is. Like, you're gifted something and you pass it on, and it always resonates with whoever you're passing it on to. Like, it's a very clear message to, you know, maybe it's the animals. Like, you see the animals and you don't know anything about the animal, but you're talking to the owner and you're like, oh, you know, do their hips hurt? Because it seems like maybe their hips hurt a lot. And they're like, how do you know that? And you're like, I don't know. I just feel like that's something that I need to talk to you about. And they're like, yeah, you know, we just came from the vet and they said that, oh, they got hip problems and we're got her on medicine or whatever, right? And it's like, it feels like it always resonates like that. Okay, it's like always a gift, and it's always a surprise when it happens. Like, you're just being you, and it's this big surprise. And I feel like a lot of people witness this happen, and a lot of people are just like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? Like, how did you know? And it's just because that's your gift. But I feel like, again, this is something that has taken a long time for you to integrate this gift and to accept it for what it is. Because there was a point in time when it felt like it was just a big burden, and it felt like you were trying to run away from it. But a lot of people, they do judge, and they're sitting there thinking like, oh, well, if I had that gift, then I would be on top of the world, or I would use it to get ahead, or I would use it for this, or I would use it for that. And the reason why you're given this gift is because that's not a thought in your mind. You see it differently than most people do. And so there's a lot of like, how is it that you're the one that's given this gift? But then there's a lot of people who also recognize that the reason you're given this gift is because you have this very balanced energy where you're giving to others. You're not taking from them, you're giving to them. You're trying to give them experience, you're trying to give them wisdom, you're giving them messages, you're giving them love, you're giving them light. It's not about what you can gain from it. It's not about how you can become better because of it. It's all about what you're given from the divine to pass on. And there might be a lot of people here who are jealous of you. There might be a lot of people who despise you even, pile 3, because of this. But what is really funny, if you will, because it's like those very same people that feel that way are also people who have gotten messages from you that resonate deeply. But they don't want to honor that. Like, they don't want to recognize that because it's eliciting this feeling inside of them that they don't like, right? And so they're just feeling like, oh, like, how are you gifted like that? So you could also be a tarot reader. You could also be an oracle card reader or something along those lines. And you give these messages to people. You might share your experience with people. You might be a spiritual teacher or something like that. And when you're given an insight, right, they're also getting confirmation. And so you might get comments that are really kind of like wild sometimes, or you might get people who say like really wild things to you and you're like, okay. I feel like you've learned to be unbothered by that and just trust in the process because of the synchronicities you receive constantly. You're constantly getting synchronicities. You're constantly getting that connection. You're constantly seeing that your gift is helping others. And that's far more important to you than people validating this, because Source goes out of their way to validate it for you. And it's really powerful for you. But there's a lot of people here who would use what you have been given as a means to manipulate others. You might have resonated with one of the other piles. If not, you may have been through all 3 of them. And I just always suggest, if you watched all 3 piles, leave a purple heart below. That makes you a part of my Purple Heart Club. And I just really appreciate anybody who spends any amount of time with me. So thank you. But you might have also been called to pile 1 specifically. If you felt called to watch pile number 1, or if you're here from pile 1, this is especially true from you. I don't usually name the piles just because it's like I don't want to influence you to watch multiple if you weren't feeling called to that. But I feel like somebody here came from pile 1 and watched this after pile 1, and this is kind of like that same type of energy. It's a very different reading, but there's this energy that's coming in where there's a lot of manipulation that you've had to go through, and that has really given you a lot of backbone to trust in your own intuition, because maybe there's been people who have tried to convince you that the messages that you received were complete bogus, or they were absolutely ridiculous that you could believe in anything like that. But time after time after time, you've been given confirmation that what you're receiving is real. And there's no more questioning it any longer. And that comes with an air of confidence that people find unmistakable. And there's that authenticity that's shining through as well. And because of that authenticity, like your light it's fabulous. It's a fabulous light. It really is, pile 3. It's a very fabulous light. It's not blinding. It's just a very fabulous, beautiful light that people want to connect with. And there are going to naturally be people who are irritated by your light because you're no longer inhibiting yourself. And that's why people stare at you, is because there's this unwavering confidence coming from underneath. But also there's this knowledge that you can trust yourself. And when you have that unshakable self-trust, it comes with self-respect and self-belief. And that shines differently in the world. And there's not that feeling of self-consciousness that's behind it any longer. And there's no more faking it until you make it. Like, that might have been a process that you went through at some point. But now you just realize, like, this is just who I am. And you've embraced it. And like I said, there's that integration where now there's no longer questioning these messages or feeling like it's a burden or feeling like it's a curse even, right? Knowing that this is given to me by the divine for a purpose, and I'm going to use that as my purpose and follow that. It's not using it to gain something. It's following the signs or following the lanterns in the road is what they're showing me, like a little lantern pathway here. And it hasn't been easy, but it's been fulfilling and it's been freeing for you to integrate this into your journey. And so when you're talking, right, specifically when you're communicating in a different way, because you're communicating words of the divine realm, and those words resonate with people on varying levels, and most of the time it finds their hearts, and you're planting seeds without realizing it. And that's why people stare at you, because whether they recognize it or not, they're being influenced by you in some way, shape, or form. Even if they're not talking directly to you, just by hearing you speak, they're being influenced by you, because they're being influenced by the spiritual realm. So you're literally like this divine channel that's walking around and gifting people this love, this light, this hope in a world that's full of dismay and darkness. You're this bright light that people are just naturally drawn to. What's something that pile 3 can focus on? Source, thank you. Okay, this one wants to come out. Let's get that. What's something that pile 3 can focus on? Okay, thank you. We'll check out the bottom in just a second. Oh, they want the bottom first. My bad. Bottom of the deck. Yeah, okay, the 5 of Cups. Now, the 5 of Cups in the Tarot Marseille talks about networking, connecting with people. It can be about nosy people. So there could be people you know that are really nosy, like trying to figure out how you're doing, what it is that you're doing, what it is that you're getting into, what it is you're involved into. With this image here, though, it does feel like there's a lot of sadness that's been brought with this gift. There's a lot of hardships that you've gone through because of this gift. Like, you knew things were going to happen, right? Especially if those, with the Pisces energy coming out, it wouldn't surprise me if many of you are psychic, intuitive, psychic mediums, have one or grouping of the clairs, have prophetic dreams, have visions, have, you know, whatever it is. There's definitely a gift here at play. And this could be the gift of art. It could be the gift of music. It could be anything like that. You know, it doesn't have to just be a psychic gift, but with Pisces in particular, it does feel very psychic. But I feel like there's people here who think that it isn't real, and so they've done everything within their power to convince you that you're delusional, or that you are lost, and that you need to come back to reality. But what is reality, right? Like, what is their reality if not miserable? Because this is something you love to do. Look, underneath that was the 2 of Cups, and then we have the 8 of coins, or I'm sorry, the 7 of coins underneath that. Yeah, so it's something unique, that's unique to you, that you love to do. So you might as well continue to do it, because it's bringing a sense of purpose. The King of Coins underneath that. All right, we're gonna, and the Ace of Swords underneath that. Yeah, that's where we're gonna stop at. Yeah, so it's something that's very honest for you. It's something that could bring a lot of financial stability to you as well, but I don't feel like it's about that. I don't feel like the financial side of things is what you're focused on, where I feel like that's what so many other people are focused on, are the finances, the money that you're getting, or the money that you should be earning from it. It's something more for you. It's from the heart. This is your heart speaking its truth. And this is something that when Source is saying what you can focus on is continue to focus on the passion and the love that this brings to you, the fulfillment this is bringing to you, because this will follow. The stability will follow, right? The money will follow. It doesn't have to be about that. When you let go of the physical, then the spiritual will lead you into a state of stability. And I feel like that's something that people have definitely forced when it comes to this. It's like, well, they're like, oh, you shouldn't give it away without, you know, getting paid, or you shouldn't just be doing this for just anybody. And it's like, but that's just how it works. Like, I don't have control over when it works, right? Like that, why I shared that story about myself at Walmart. It's like, I didn't have any control over that. Like, it was just something that happened out of the blue, and I just followed my own self, and I was myself in that situation, and it just unfolded the way it was. And I ended up talking to that woman for a while, and I comforted her, and then at the end I asked her, would it be okay if I gave you a hug? And she's like, yeah, and I gave her a hug, and that opened up a whole nother weird conversation that we had together. But You know, she's just like, cause she's like, oh, you must be Christian. And I was like, that's a weird, you know, that's a weird takeaway from that by me asking you a hug. And she's like, usually it's only Christians that hug. And I was like, oh no, I was like, I'm actually spiritual. And I was like, I just feel like you need a hug. And that's why I'm asking. And so that opened up a whole nother conversation, but it was a really nice conversation. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't judgmental or anything like that. But, and then her daughter said, she's like, really glad that we ran into you because this has been a really hard week. She's like, so I have to drive 3 hours to take my mom to the store because otherwise, you know, she won't get groceries. She can't drive herself. I guess their dad was the one that drove her everywhere. And so it's been really hard for her. And so they're trying to get things settled for her. And it was just such an interesting situation. But it was, you know, when I left, I felt fulfilled for that because it was like, it's not that I got anything from it. It's not that I did anything to gain anything from it. It was just such a synchronistic moment that I understood that there's some things that at play where we're being pulled on, like our strings are being pulled on for a reason. And that's what it feels like you're doing too. Like your strings are getting pulled on and you're getting guided to do certain things. And that's what it is. And it's like you go through those processes. And it's like if you share those stories with people in the past, you've maybe had people who've really been rude to you, really, really tried to tell you that that's not a real thing, or, you know, like what you're just trying to believe something crazy. And it's been really hard for you to trust your intuition. But now you've really integrated this, and that integration has brought you a new sense of well-being, even. Strength. I don't take these in the reverse, so it's interesting that it came out in the reverse. Maybe I was holding the deck in the reverse, I don't know. But the strength in reverse, it's interesting that we're talking about that, and that's how I was holding it, was in the reverse this whole time. The strength in reverse talks about repression. So there's a point where you repress this gift. You repressed it because it was easier and it allowed you to fit in. This is something that I'm reading. I talked about this not that long ago. It's like this book, and I wish I could remember the author. I don't remember the author right now, but it's like I had to raise myself. That's the name of the book. And Gabriel Mate is a really good one too. Hold on, I have the book right here. Let me pull it out from my cabinet right above us. This is a really good one to check out too. Is the Myth of Normal. By Gabriel Mate. I'm in the middle of reading this. This is a really intense book. It's talked about trauma, illness, and healing in a toxic culture. But this also talks about the childhood where children, when faced with trauma, right? Like if there's the choice between being authentic or fitting in, every time a child, does not matter, every time a child will choose fitting in because of the fear of abandonment and the fear of getting cast out or the fear of lack of love. And so this could have been something that, and they're talking about that in this book that I'm raising, I Had to Raise Myself. And that's something that's really clear, that kids, when you're young, if you have a gift or if you see things differently or if you speak about things differently, get suppressed by emotionally unavailable parents, or even emotionally toxic parents, or narcissistic parents, or emotionally neglectful parents, anything along that line, or where you were forced into a situation where you were parentified, I think is the word, and it's where you were forced in a situation where you had to become the parent because there was a lack of a parent in the situation. So when you're forced into those situations, you'll choose caretaking every time over your authentic self, which would have put you in a state of repression. And now it's like honoring that gift, right? Finding the strength to honor that gift, the courage to honor that gift, and to speak it into the world. This divinity with the white rose here, this divinity that you're speaking into to the world, this truth, this purity, this divine connection has been really a challenge for you, because there's a point where, again, it was like repressing the gift was easier to fit in than to stand out. But there's been this spiritual movement, and they want you to remember that it was harder for you when you repressed this gift, and to focus on continuing to ignite that fire within you, but also continuing to allow it to grow and become whatever it's going to become. Because this is going to, there's going to be phases that you go through on the journey, right? Yeah, this, so the Fool here, wow. So you're getting mystery cards here, right? And this, the yellow energy here connecting with the solar plexus chakra. So you definitely might have come from one of the other piles for sure, but this is like taking that action and not being afraid of the unknown with the Fool. Like, don't be afraid of the unknown. And that's something that you can focus on. Was it absolutely horrifying at some points in your life? Yes, it was. But it's also the opportunity now for you to connect with like-minded people. And that's what they want you to focus on. That while this has been a challenge for you, and yes, this is why people stare at you, because they're uncertain. They're not sure, right? Like, is this a real thing? And it's like, you're the walking embodiment of this gift. You are the proof that it exists. And that's why people stare at you, because they're getting those resonating messages as well. But a lot of people want to deny it, because they don't want it to be you, right? And it's not a personal thing like, oh, it can't be pile 3 because of pile 3, this, that, and the other, the candle going out. It's not a personal thing against you. It's, if you were anybody, they wouldn't want it to be you, right? Like, that's just it. Like, you could have been the most famous person in the world and they still wouldn't want it to be you. It's because there's a couple of things here where there's comparison, there's an unknowing of what this really entails. There's the want to manipulate. There's the want to use it for egoic gain. There's also this just clashing against old belief patterns or old systems that have been in place for too long, which gifts like this usually do. They clash against standing systems that have stood for so long, but that are starting to crumble, and people are just holding on tooth and nail. The Ace of Cups, this connection with the divine. The Ace of Cups is such a beautiful card, especially in the Tarot Marseille, because it talks about self-love and the love of the divine, the connection you have directly with the divine. And that coming through with what they want you to focus on. And that's what they want you to focus on. That's what Source wants you to focus on, is this connection that you have with the universe, with Source, with divinity, and trusting that they'll always lead you to the place that's going to be in your highest good. And I love this because it's going to come out. I was talking to a neighbor this morning, and she said the most beautiful thing to me is to remember that she's Christian. And she said to remember that God is not on puppet strings. And I think that's really true. Remember that Source is not on puppet strings. It's not us pulling the strings. It's us following the messages, following the synchronicities. And what we were talking about was the answered prayers, right? And the blessings that we have coming into our lives. It's not always what we think it should be. It's exactly what it needs to be. And that's what's happening for you as this unfolds, is exactly what needs to happen so that you can become everything that you're meant to become. And even though that's why they wanted me to tell you at the beginning of your reading that there was a message here for you. Because the thing is that people stare at you because they get such conflicting messages inside of themselves, while your messages are resonating with them, while when you talk, you're resonating with them. But those inner conflicts are winning in times, and at other times they're not. Like, at other times people are ready to put down the armor and to accept and trust. But there are a lot of people here who are still trying to fight. And it's within that fight that sometimes you might get the short end of the stick, or you might get projected on. And Source is wanting you to remember that that's not your fight. It's not because of you, and it's not your fight. It's their fight. They have to handle that, or they have to surrender that themselves. But continue to focus on building this connection with the divine, right? And usually in the Tarot Marseille, the Fool doesn't have a number, because the Fool is on the Fool's journey. He's going throughout his journey, and he's at any one point on his journey, and that's why he doesn't have a number. But on this deck, the Fool is 0, and that's in line with the Rider-Waite-Smith. But what we're seeing here is to remember to look through. It's not about nothing. It's about seeing everything through the experience of what you're going through. You have 11, and then the Ace being a 1. So you have 111, which is having faith. As you have faith, things will unfold for your highest good, and you're going to begin to connect with people who appreciate the gifts that you have, even though you've been through some really tough times, and even though you've been through some saddening times, some really difficult situations. So let's get some more out here for you. Yeah. To maintain your sense of independence here, bravery and passion. Also, I feel like you just give off such a very powerful energy that's another reason why people stare at you, is that you're very independent soul. You're not worried about impressing others. You're just really maintaining that sense of self, which is really good. And you're very spiritual. The 9th house here, spiritual growth. The way you communicate is very spiritual. It's like, even if you run into people who can have incredibly differing beliefs from you, somehow you're able to bring it back to, we're in this together. Like, we don't need to judge each other because of that. Wow. So you got a bunch of these. We've got Jupiter and Aquarius with innovation, and I believe that yours had Jupiter on the dice. So innovation, it's a new beginning. It's something new. It's an unexplored territory, what you're doing. We have Saturn and Sagittarius with fulfillment. So there is the potential for financial gain here, right? But that's not what it's about for you. I feel like it's just about being happy doing what you're doing. And that's why Source wants you to focus on that, okay? Don't focus on the money. Focus on where it's taking you. And then we have Jupiter in Scorpio with manipulation. Yeah, so you could have definitely come from pile 1. But I do feel like there's been a lot of people who they think about this. They're like, oh, well, if I was as gifted as pile 3, like, I would use that to my advantage. It's weird to think that people would worry about that, but they do. You know, it's like people would worry about getting ahead. They worry about stepping on toes. They worry about, you know, like, who they got to take out so that they can get ahead. It's unfortunate that we live in a life that's like that, but that's really, truly some things that happen here. And then we also have Venus and Aries with lust. Yeah, people are definitely coveting your gift here, and they're very angry with the volcano in the background here. They're very angry that you've been given this gift, but it's something that's very exposing for you. And many times you've spent with this chameleon, you've spent blending in, because being exposed was really difficult, but now you're letting yourself be exposed. Now you're letting yourself be seen. And that still comes with its challenges, but it's like other people are trying to covet your gift, or they want to know how you do it. But that's the thing. It's like, it's something that's deeply personal to you and to your journey. And that's the thing, like, people are thinking about the money they could gain from this, and that's not what you think about, and that's why this is your gift. But that's also the beautiful thing about it, is because you're not so concerned about the money, is that's what's coming to you. With Oshun, we have sweet success. Yeah, there's a lot of good things that are coming to you because of this, because of accepting yourself fully. I also feel like there's a lot of manipulators that are around you that are waiting for you to question yourself so that they can swoop in. And that's why they're staring at you. They're waiting for an opening, but you don't give them that opening. Not anymore. Not anymore. Why? Because you've embraced your inner strength with Rihanna in here. You know your value. You know your worth. You trust in your intuition more than anything now. And that's good. I'm so proud of you. Pile 3, I'm so proud of you, because that takes so much courage to do. Why do people stare at you, pile 3? Yeah, identity check with the 1st house. And I love that there's the all-seeing eye here, right? Like the eye of intuition. Because that's it. Like, you wear your intuition as your physical being. Like, it's not something that people have to get to know you to know about. It's like, it's just something you lead with, is your intuition. So if people give you the creeps, like, your intuition lets you know, and you know to steer clear of people. That's why people can't manipulate you anymore. It's because your intuition is always guiding you. And so that's why people stare at you, because they're just waiting to see what's the next thing. Yeah, Uranus, expect miracles. A lot of changes are happening for you. A lot of changes. There's a lot of growth that's happening for you as well. There's going to be sudden growth, sudden change that comes to you very soon. And I feel like that's another reason why people are staring, because it's like, how did you bring this success? How did you bring this gain into your life? Because it wasn't about the gain for you. We have the balsamic moon, a time for healing. Healing right now for you is trusting your gift and trusting your intuition and letting it lead you. And that's something that's really healing, but not questioning it anymore. On the bottom, show the world the real you, exactly, with the full moon in Aquarius. There's something very vulnerable about you sharing this gift with others, and you feel exposed. But in that exposure, you're gaining more and more confidence, and you're gaining more and more security in who you are. Okay, thank you. Bottom of the deck, we have fear. I realize that I'm testing my resolve to live in the energy of love. So you do elicit fear in others. Not everybody, but there are some people who are afraid because, again, you're testing the foundation of very faulty senses of security. Okay? But also I feel like this is just that confirmation that there's something that there was a lot of fear when it came to this. And now you don't fear it anymore. And because you don't fear it anymore, it just gives you a different shine. Right? Shine, 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 shine your way. Yep, shine your way. Pile 3, shine your way. Alright, let's get a couple of these. Whoa. Okay, flying in, speeding, surge, flow, and addiction. And I feel like that's really just this confirmation that things are about to speed up for you. Things are about to come around full circle as well. And with the addiction, that's that confirmation where people would use this to gain something, but you're not. You're in a state of flow. Yeah, you're in a state of alignment. Fusion, alignment, openness, harmony, harmonize, and collaboration. Harmony, 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 harmony. That's from Lego Ninjago. They called themselves Spin Harmony when they were trying to win back the Fang Cup for one of their missions. And so yeah, it's like, and then what's interesting in there is because the serpentine, okay, let me just tell you this real quick, there's the serpentine in there, and they're also trying to steal the Fang Cup because they need it to awaken the Great Devourer. And the ninjas are just trying to win it fair and square so that they can at least keep it away from the snakes, from the serpentine. And so it's interesting because the serpentine think that they can enter in the contest and do just as good as the ninja, and they end up, I mean, it was awful. They were singing "My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean," but they did the lyrics "My Poison Lies Over the Ocean," and so it was just awful. Like, no one liked it, but their head serpentine, Pythor, he was on the judging, and he made everybody judge at a 10, otherwise he was threatening them, and he ate one of the judges. And then the ninjas went up after them, and they were like, you know what, I'm not gonna, Cole, because his dad, Cole's dad, he's one of the ninjas, his dad was the one that was like upset because he thought they were just gonna steal the cup, and Cole's like, no, I'm gonna go ahead and win it fair and square. And he's like, but I'm gonna win it being me. I don't want to be who I'm not. And so instead of them wearing those old barbershop hats and stuff, and like the quartet, he decided to go up in his ninja uniform, and they all followed him, and he did this really cool stunt and whatever, and they won the cup, but then the snakes stole it from them anyways. And so, but it's like that same energy that's coming in, right? That alignment when he decided to just be himself, because he hadn't told his dad that he was a ninja, right? He hadn't shared that part of himself with him. And so I think that's really, really synchronistic with the reading that it's coming in right now, because it's like there's a part of you that you were having struggles with sharing yourself with others, but when you finally open up and share it, like everybody was excited, everybody embraced you. And maybe the people who you thought were going to embrace you didn't, but it's the people who did embrace you that helped you see that this is exactly who you're meant to be, which helped bring you into a state of alignment. And that's what Source really wants you to continue to focus on, is the people that matter, not the people who think they know better than you, who can't even hold a candle to what it is that you're doing, right? Who are just trying to steal ideas or to steal your identity or to steal your gift or to pretend that they're you, right? Like, these aren't things to worry about because they'll never succeed because it's not authentic to who they are. And they'll be exposed for that. Okay? So it's a really powerful message coming in. I feel like we're going to do this one next. Yeah, self-esteem, exactly. Look at this. I cannot make this up. The one card that talks about soul gifts. I possess gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. Exactly. And your self-esteem, like, that's the thing. You're very confident in who you are now. And that's something that may have been lacking for a while. And people have noticed it. People you know, and people see it when you go out. People you don't know, they still see it. Like, it's something that is very palpable when you're around. Determination. Go all out. Struggle desperately in belief in victory. This is something you've had to really struggle through. And this makes me think of the Strength card from the Osho Zen Tarot, which shows a daisy growing in the asphalt as well, where it doesn't belong. And it's just a strength that you have acquired from the journey itself by struggling. And then also through that struggle, learning to surrender to what is. You've become this beautiful landmark, if you will, in a place that's very desolate. Okay, and then we have Mars and Aquarius with choice. Yeah, you chose to free yourself from the binds of the journey, right? Like something that was keeping you confined, that was breaking your heart, that confinement. And every rose has its thorn. Isn't that a song? Every rose has its thorn. Like, that's coming out here, where there's been a very thorny journey. It's been very difficult, maybe even getting caught up in the bramble where there's lots of cuts and scrapes. But then finally trusting in the unknown and balancing out that energy and following your true north, letting the divine speak to you and through you, and to trust that path. And you wear the divine everywhere you go. Like, people recognize that, and that's why people stare at you, is because you're living, breathing embodiment of divine energy, of divinity. So let's take a look at this card. I do have to look at it off camera to make sure it's camera appropriate, but we're going to read this from the book and see what it says. So yeah, we've got this. This is called the Morning Dew card. Wow. Very intuitive with the cat here. Transformative. Trusting in the unfolding of the events in your life. Finding happiness with yourself. Like, this is just trusting that your heart and your truth are one and the same. And that they're going to take you to new heights. That's what this really feels like. Think about the morning dew, right? Like, it's a very temporary thing, but it's so beautiful when the dewdrops are like on the leaves, or they're on even like spider webs or something like that. It's a very beautiful thing, but it's also very temporary. And so people stare at you because you're a temporary reprieve from the daily, the mundane, right? You're a temporary reprieve. But also people stare at you because there's something very beautiful, but that beauty is a moment in time. Because not everybody has access to you consistently like that. Did you see that fly? Just it was a fly that came in. All right, so Morning Dew. Look, I love this. We're talking about the star here, and the first line is, the path to my own star is made of reinventions. That's the first line here. It is an open path which constantly surpasses the created ideas about who I am. The changing nature of life calls me to look at existence with new eyes, paying attention to my inner movements and allowing the necessary space for every emotion. I create space for my light to shine, expand, and illuminate my surroundings. I create space for my shadow to dwell, to embrace the uncomfortable and integrate my wounds with genuine love. As natural as the transition from day to night, I integrate the darkness into me. We were talking about that. This was definitely a part of your shadow, but there's this integration that's been happening. What a synchronicity. I love that. I loosen debilitating defense mechanisms that dismiss my gifts. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Source. Or hide my emotional shortcomings and deny my pain. Little by little, I break this programming that makes me despise my body or disregard my calling by focusing my energy only on others. I connect today with my inner rhythm, flexible, changing, and wise. Resilience. It is life running through my body every time I feel the healing of my scars. It is life pulsing in me when gratitude expands in my chest. It is life communicating in every tear, in every laugh. It is the sacred life in each new chapter. My resilience is my refuge. There I tell myself the truth and I leave space for all that I am. What does our life compare to? To the dewdrop that jumps from the beak of the water bird and on which the moon is reflected. And the moon connecting directly with our intuition. So really powerful, right? It's but a passing moment. And you're but a passing shooting star in a lot of people's lives, and they can't help but be drawn to you. Even the ones that want to be angry and jealous at you, they still can't help but be drawn to you. And that's why people stare at you, because they feel this energy, they feel this light, they feel this divinity that's radiating from you. And a lot of these people might be people who know you, or people that you help constantly or on a consistent basis. And that's something that they're appreciative of. And there might be others even still who they wish that they didn't resonate with you, but they can't help but be drawn back. It's like a moth to the flame. They're still drawn back. They're still resonating with you. Even if they've said nasty things to you, they still come back and watch in the shadows. And it's because you really are this walking embodiment of divine. And it's powerful. You've come into this very powerful place. So keep doing what you're doing. You're doing an amazing job. I'm truly honored I got to connect with you on this reading today. So thank you for being here. If you felt like this was your message, leave the little star emoji down below and say, I honor the path ahead by trusting the unknown and knowing that my intuition, my insight, and my gifts are leading me every step of the way. And if it resonated, it would mean so much if you were to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box below. I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this very powerful message today. And until next time, pile number 3, stay human. Bye.